4 years ago, I uploaded an Iceberg video. Today, it's the oldest video on this channel. Though it's nowhere near the first video I ever made, I actually uploaded well over 200 videos on this channel before then, but those videos are all gone now and I don't like to talk about them. That Iceberg video was about YouTube, mostly the weird stuff you can find on it. These days when it comes to YouTube, I focus on the people who use it, specifically the bad ones. While I was browsing Reddit, I found this Iceberg chart made by HorrorMonster26. It's a fairly long one, much longer than the one I did all those years ago, so long in fact that in this video I'll only be covering the first half. Why? Look at all of these names in the last 2 layers. Trying to fit all of these in one video would drive me insane, but in this video I'll be covering 4 tiers. This is the Evil YouTubers Iceberg, Part 1. This is actually a channel I covered in my first Worst YouTubers video, but that particular segment has never actually been available in the YouTube version because going into detail about child abuse will actually get videos demonetized, hence why it's only ever been available on the quote director's cut on BitChute. Mike Martin opened Daddy05 in August 2015, pitching it as a rough and tumble family vlog where 5 Maryland kids with a punchline. Early clips were the usual YouTube noise, Nerf wars, mild pranks, but the channel fed on escalation. By 2016, the quote jokes revolved around singling out Mike's 9-year-old son, Cody. Viewers watched him shoved into furniture, screamed at until he hyperventilated, or blamed for messes he never made. The turning point was an April 2017 upload in which Mike and his wife splashed invisible ink on Cody's carpet, dragged him upstairs, and unleashed a profanity-laced tirade while Cody sobbed and insisted he was innocent, until Mike and his wife Heather suddenly started laughing and told him it was just a prank. But if you go back and watch the video, Cody is clearly not amused. Philip DeFranco's video about the situation detonated the story outside of YouTube, and mainstream outlets began digging through 2 years of footage that showed slapping, screaming meltdowns, and nosebleeds passed off as quote comedy. Child Protective Services stepped in within weeks. A Maryland judge pulled Cody and his sister Emma from the household, sending them to live with their biological mother. Martin and Heather took Alford pleas to 2 counts of child neglect and received 5 years to supervised probation in 2017. The original channel was eventually terminated, but the couple insisted on coming back. They re-emerged as Family05, uploading softer-looking vlogs recorded in West Virginia. Behind the scenes, the same patterns crept back, and YouTube finally terminated every account linked to the Martins in July 2018, citing child endangerment rules. Bans, of course, didn't end the hustle though. For most of 2019, they hid the archive behind a $5 paywall on a homemade site, streamed Minecraft on Twitch, and floated yet another rebrand, the Martin family. Each new channel vanished almost as quickly as it appeared, tricked by the platform's repeat offender policy. Martin even tried to pivot to SoundCloud rap under the name Mikey M, but his listener count stayed in the low hundreds. 1, because he's a total dick, and 2, why would anyone want to listen to an overweight man in his 40s with a bald spot rapping? As of 2025, every channel linked to the Martin family, apart from a channel called The Martin Boys, run by Heather's 3 sons, which only ever uploaded 2 videos, has been completely scrubbed from YouTube. They did have a TikTok, but that hasn't been active since 2021. Considering what absolute scumbags Mike and Heather are, here's hoping they're never allowed to return to YouTube ever again. This next entry was apparently so bad that there's no re-uploads of any of this channel's content anywhere on YouTube. Back in 2012, Michelle Hackney Hobson opened Fantastic Adventures, a homemade fantasy series that dressed her 7 adopted kids in capes and plastic armor. They fought cookie-stealing villains, mixed potions in the backyard, and racked up more than 800,000 subscribers and roughly 250 million views before anyone outside Maricopa, Arizona wondered how the magic was being made. Police got their answer on March 15, 2019, when Hobson's adult daughter asked for a welfare check. Officers found the children rail thin with dark circles under their eyes and heard stories that turned a feel-good family channel into evidence. The kids said that they were yanked out of school so they could film, pepper sprayed if they flubbed a line, locked in a closet for days without food or water, and forced to take ice baths to get into character. There was also some rather extreme physical abuse that I definitely can't go into detail here. Hobson was arrested that same night, along with her adult sons, Logan and Ryan. She faced 30 felony counts ranging from child abuse to unlawful imprisonment. The brothers were charged with failing to report what happened under their roof. YouTube demonetized the channel within hours and deleted it outright the next day, erasing 6 years of videos in a single click. The case would never reach trial, as Michelle Hobson suffered a brain injury in jail, was declared incompetent, and died in a Scottsdale hospital on November 12, 2019, aged 48. All charges were dismissed post-mortem, but the fallout kept rolling. In 2023, prosecutors quietly indicted both Logan and Ryan for separate counts of sexual misconduct with minors. In March of 2025, a Pinal County judge handed Ryan 3.5 years and forced him onto the sex offender registry, a sentence that was more or less identical to the one that Logan received in January of this year. As I said, most traces of this channel have been completely scrubbed from YouTube. Mirror channels were more or less instantly deleted, and YouTube's child endangerment rules instantly flag any attempts of re-uploading content, which should give you an idea of just how bad this situation was. This next channel is one that I actually just covered in my most recent Worst YouTubers video, so we won't be talking about it for too long here. 8 Passengers was started in early 2015 by Ruby and Kevin Frankie, in which they filmed their 6 children doing what Mormon kids usually do, such as piano recitals and doing chores. Within 5 years, the family sat on roughly 2.5 million subscribers and over 1 billion views, building a tidy business built around the daily slices of family life. This veneer cracked in June 2020, however, when viewers noticed 15-year-old Chad had been banished to a beanbag for 7 months after pranking a younger brother. An earlier clip showed 6-year-old Eve was sent to school with no lunch because, quote, natural consequences would teach her responsibility. Child Protective Services paid an unannounced visit, and drama channels raided 5 years of archives for other heavy-handed punishments. Ruby dismissed the uproar as context-free outrage, but their subscribers began to drop. By 2022, Kevin Frankie had moved out, and Ruby had traded family vlogging for hardline parenting classes with licensed counselor Jody Hildebrandt. Their new brand, first called Connections, then the Instagram account Moms of Truth, preached strict obedience, fasting, and isolation as cures for, quote, entitlement. Ruby's college-age daughter, Shari, alerted police more than once, worried that her younger siblings were being left alone for days. Everything collapsed on August 30th, 2023. A 12-year-old boy named Russell climbed out of a window of Hildebrandt's house in Utah with his wrists taped, and he was emaciated, begging a neighbor for food and water. Deputies found a 9-year-old girl named Eve in a dark closet inside Hildebrandt's house. Ruby and Hildebrandt were arrested on 6 counts of aggravated child abuse. Both pleaded guilty to 4. On February 20th, 2024, a judge stacked the sentences, 4 consecutive terms of 1 to 15 years apiece. Court documents described starvation diets, duct tape restraints, and prayers laced with threats that, quote, demons would devour disobedient children. YouTube deleted every connected channel within hours of the arrest. I would say that hopefully this is the last time we'll hear about one of these family channels turning out to have a dark side, but unfortunately I have a feeling that this is going to happen again. At the very least, we won't be seeing Ruby Frankie on YouTube again anytime soon. Plasma Master Don honestly looked harmless. Just a 70-year-old Ohio man crooning song covers on his webcam. He opened the channel on August 17, 2012, and over 8 years, sang his way to more than 400,000 subscribers, with shout-outs to the kids who requested covers. Comment sections even called him YouTube's grandpa. The illusion cracked in the summer of 2019. County court dockets in Lisbon, Ohio, list Donzel E. Owens Jr., the man behind the channel, on an August 19th calendar, facing a misdemeanor sexual imposition charge for grabbing a male victim's genitals. 4 months later, he took a plea, paid a $200 fine, and landed on the state's Tier 1 sex offender registry. For more than a year, almost no one connected the chord name to the cheerful singer. That changed on October 10, 2020, when a Reddit thread linked the registry entry to Plasma Mastodon and posted screenshots of every comment he deleted that even mentioned it. The story went wider on December 11th of that same year, when Nick Crowley uploaded YouTube's Hidden Predator. In 20 minutes, Crowley mapped the registry file and the guilty plea. The video pulled millions of views in days, and subscriber graphs on Social Blade fell off a cliff, and Plasma Mastodon locked his channel, killing the comment feed entirely. 10 days later, on December 21st, 2020, Owens died at Salem Hospital at 73 years old. Local obituaries blamed a lengthy illness, but offered no details. YouTube has never removed the channel, and the uploads still sit there, though obviously without monetization. Plasma Mastodon's catalogue is still online, but the warmth that built it evaporated the moment viewers realized the camera was pointed at a man, likely already banned from going near every elementary school in his county. Demetrius Madsen, who streamed Minecraft under the handle Jakishi, spent 8 years grinding in modest obscurity, with only a few hundred live viewers on Twitch, and the occasional raid from bigger names. That changed on October 23, 2021, when Dream whitelisted him on the Dream SMP. Overnight, the follow count spiked past 6 figures, and every VOD lit up with fresh donations. 48 hours later, the growth flipped to freefall. A teenage fan posted screenshots showing Jakishi pressing her for nude photos when she was 13. Within hours, at least 4 more minors surfaced with parallel chat logs. They described a pattern of late-night Discord calls, hotel room invitations, and grooming that stretched back to 2017. Esports tallied the statements and noted claims that explicit images had been saved in a folder on his computer. Dream confronted him that same night and, according to a now archived tweet on Dream's private account, Jakishi confirmed privately that these messages were real. By October 25th, he was banned from the server, pinned to the former members list for grooming accusations, and every SMP clip with his skin was scrubbed from playlists. The fallout was quick and thorough. The fan-run Jakishi Updates account shuttered itself in solidarity with the victims, and moderators locked his public Discord behind read-only mode before deleting it outright. No criminal indictment has ever surfaced as of May 2025, but the online record is brutal. Archived Twitter threads, Google Drive folders full of chat logs, and commentary videos that rack up more views than his entire pre-SMP catalogue ever did. Today, Jakishi has disappeared. He had a 2-day meteoric rise, an avalanche of grooming claims, and a digital footprint wiped out almost as fast as it formed.
Well, hello there, nosy ass fucking neighbors. Would you guys like to see my fucking dick?
Okay, I'm finally going to talk about him. Bryant Turhan Emerson Moreland launched his rant channel, EDP445, back in 2010, firing off profanity-laced monologues until one clip after another slipped into meme rotation. By early 2021, he sat on more than 2 million subscribers, sponsorship deals, and the illusion of a harmless loudmouth superfan. This all imploded on April 18th, 2021.
Okay, go ahead. Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
Within 24 hours, YouTube pulled every other channel tied to him, followed by Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook bans. No felony case followed, but the digital exile stuck. He tried building a paywalled site called EDP445.com, then drifted through DoorDash runs and a short-lived trucking job before viewers posted his background to every HR department in reach. He claimed stage 5 kidney failure during a 2022 stream, though local papers never found a matching hospital record. He was trying to sell $40 shoutouts on Cameo under the handle BigFlex445, while stealth uploading archived rants to his throwaway YouTube channels that disappeared as fast as subscribers could rediscover them. Today, Moreland's presence survives only in re-uploads, cord-sized folders of chat logs, and a half-finished independent documentary fans keep spotting on TikTok teasers. Also, I'm fairly certain the only reason people have wanted me to talk about him all these years is because they want to hear me say what EDP actually stands for. EDP stands for Eat Dat Pussy. There, I finally said it. Romeo Lacoste opened his YouTube channel in 2014, posting videos of him tattooing visiting influencers in his studio, episodes with the Dolan twins, Gabby Hanna, and a string of former Vine stars sent subscriber counts past 1 million, while Instagram filled with close-up shots of the tattoos he'd done on pop stars and NBA rookies. Viewers got a soft-spoken host, and clients got permanent souvenirs. And Lacoste, of course, got the aura of YouTube's resident tattoo artist. Of course, there's a reason why he's on this iceberg. Drama channel creator Sebastian Williams posted DMs showing Lacoste propositioning girls as young as 15. The messages swerved from small talk to graphic detail, requests for nudes, offers of vodka and Netflix nights, even a plan for a hotel meetup during VidCon. One thread captured asking him whether the teen, quote, liked it rough. Within 48 hours, BuzzFeed, Insider, and every commentary channel worth a thumbnail amplified the screenshots. Collaborators purged his name from video titles and unfollowed in bulk. Lacoste locked his Twitter, disabled comments, and stopped uploading for nearly a year. When the channel flickered back to life in 2020, the tone had changed. Gone were the videos with other YouTubers. In their place were quick, sponsor-heavy clips filmed inside his North Hollywood studio, each one avoiding any mention of the allegations. The rebrand never stuck. Sponsorships dried up, video recommendations flatlined, and a defamation suit he filed against Keemstar stalled in federal court, kicking up more headlines than clients. With his ad revenue gutted, Lacoste doubled down on the day job, selling flash designs on TikTok, and leaning on his celebrity clients that never cared much about YouTube drama in the first place. As of 2025, he still does tattoos out of a storefront called The California Dream, and still pushes booking links on accounts that top 1 million followers, but every Google search for his name lands on the leaked DMs before it reaches his portfolio, and any video he posts now on will attract a comment section asking why a 30-plus-year-old tattoo artist spent nights sexting high school freshmen. Craig Minilad Thompson started his YouTube channel in 2013 and uploaded Grand Theft Auto, Garry's Mod, and Call of Duty videos. By 2019, he sat on roughly 5 million subscribers, a Shorty Award charity campaign that paid for wells in Eswatini, and a rugby stadium in Derry carrying his screen name. This all collapsed in June of 2022 when two fans, Haley and Ash, posted twit-longer threads saying Craig sexted and solicited them while they were 15 and 16. The leaked Snapchat logs showed late-night grooming, pressure to share explicit photos, and promises of hotel meetups during Camp 17, a creator fan event. Thompson uploaded a Twitter note apology on the 25th of June, admitting the exchanges were real and saying he would, quote, get help. Within a week, the City of Derry rugby team tore down the sponsorship signage and scrubbed the Minilad branding from its ground. He tried to ride out the backlash, returning to YouTube that August with the comment section locked and a clearing the air vlog that dodged most details. Views cratered. In December, he reappeared with a 15-minute confession, framing the sexting as a byproduct of suicidal depression.
First thing that I wanted to say was I added Hallie on Snapchat when she was 16. This isn't when I was making any remarks towards her. This is just where I talked to all of my friends. I was that guy that had streaks, and I wanted to make sure that our streaks were good, because back in 2015, that's kind of what people did. It wasn't until 2016, when she was 17, that I first started to flirt with her. I was 21 at the time. And that's not okay. Like, and I'm aware of that. So with Hallie and both with Ash, I sent the messages around this time, and I understand what I'm gonna say next is quite taboo online, but if this is my way of putting all my cards on the table and telling you guys what happened, I feel like I need to say it. The reason I did what I did, and there was even a message where I said this, is because what I said there is true. I did try to end my life at the beginning of 2017. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for anything. This is not what this is about. This is telling you guys the reason, and I just want you to understand the headspace that I was in. The reality is I was being selfish. I wasn't thinking about repercussions. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just being stupid. And I really want to apologize for that. I just wasn't thinking. And I regret it. I've regretted it since. And for that, for both Hallie and Ash, I'm really sorry. Ash, to me, I knew a lot shorter. I may only have known her a few months. She was a part of a group of friends who my Twitch mods were friends with, and that's how we became friends. This is someone who I became friends with just through association with my friends. And the stuff I sent to her is just not okay either. And that's not what I want. You know, she was someone that I really did call my friend, and it sucks that I let her down like that.
The dislike bar dwarfed the likes before YouTube hit the ratio. Twitch reacted 2 months later, on the 23rd of February 2021, issuing a permanent ban that cited his own admission of misconduct. Since then, his career has existed in stutters. Brand deals are gone, charity partners distance themselves, and Craig's former Discord sits frozen in read-only archives. His main YouTube channel still lists millions of subscribers, but uploads now struggle to break 5% of their old audience. In 2025, every search for his name surfaces the same controversy: a screenshot of Snapchat DMs, an apology filmed in dim studio light, and a .esports headline announcing the lifetime Twitch ban. The legacy he built on punchline screaming and charity streams is buried beneath a paper trail that reads like a case file. Chris Tyson was one of Mr. Beast's first on-camera collaborators, a childhood friend from Greenville, North Carolina, who moved into Mr. Beast's duplex in 2016 to film $20-something stunts that later pulled hundreds of millions of views. Tyson rolled through the early Mr. Beast challenges as the loud, quick-joking sidekick, eventually hosting the spin-off channel Beast Reacts, and pocketing a steady share of the brand's rise to record-breaking subscriber counts. In 2023, Tyson began hormone replacement therapy, confirmed that they now used she/her pronouns, and after a decade on screen, reintroduced themselves to the audience as Ava Chris Tyson. The upbeat storyline cracked in July 2024, when a commentary video stitched together years-old Discord logs and public tweets that showed Tyson exchanging edgy sexual humor with a fan who was 13 when the contact started, and 16 when they met at a Mr. Beast event. Tyson denied grooming, and the alleged victim publicly said the same, but the screenshots spread faster than the denials. Within 48 hours, Tyson announced they were permanently stepping away from all Mr. Beast projects to keep the fallout off the company's balance sheet and to focus on their family and mental health. Almost simultaneously, viewers froze a frame from an old video that showed a frame print by Swiss artist Shabman hanging in Tyson's room. Shabman's notoriety comes from explicit cartoon work that often sexualizes fictional minors. Keemstar posted the still and claimed Tyson had long supported Shabman, even commissioning pieces, adding that Shabman once drew a pornographic image of Keemstar's 8-year-old daughter.
We looked into it on Dromler, didn't see nothing too alarming, but within the last couple years, I started finding him supporting Shadman. And Shadman is like a lolicon artist, like a cartoon CP artist. And I had a horrible run-in with him back in the day because he drew my 8-year-old daughter in a sexual manner. And not only was Chris like supporting this guy, but he was like buying art from him. He was commissioning art. He had art on his wall. There's a Mr. Beast video where you can see some of the art on his wall. He was tweeting out at Shadman, thanks for the art and the fidget spinner, right? So I've learned only about this stuff in the last couple of years. Now, recently, you know, Chris Tyson has become trans or whatever, and Chris Tyson has been beefing with Nick Merckx a lot, and they've been going back and forth, right? Nick Merckx's main thing is leave the kids alone. Well, for some reason, that's highly offensive to Chris Tyson, which makes no sense to anyone, right?
Right.
What, Chris, what, you should be attacking people's kids? Like, what is going on? You should be trying to get
It's not an exclusive club either. There's a lot of people who are offended by that for some reason.
So I was like, what is this? I didn't even understand that beef. This motherfucker jumps in my DMs, Chris Tyson, starts saying that I'm rallying up a transphobic campaign against her. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Every single person that made the tweets on Drama Alert is my employee, Gino, who is trans. Who is trans? So she accused my trans employee of being transphobic. And I had to lay that all out to her, and she still decided to preach at me, or he, or whatever you want to call Chris, still decided to preach at me, telling me that I need to do better. So I lost it. It's the first time I brought this up to her or him. I said, look, you supported this artist that drew my kid when she was 8 years old in a sexual manner. You have some fucking nerve to tell me to do better. And I went off, didn't apologize, didn't take any accountability. The only thing Chris said was, oh, all YouTubers supported Shadman back then. That was it. That was the cop-out. And that I need to do better. I fucking lost it. So I started fucking hitting up Mr. Beast, and I'm saying bro, I swear to God, this is going to be an all-out war with fucking Chris if Chris continues to talk to me this way. And it seems like the grooming allegations, for the most part, are bullshit. But what is true is Chris Tyson joking around with this underage minor about selling nudes. That is the truth. Ugh. That is the truth. Now, some would say that alone is grooming, right? But is it grooming? Is it joke? I don't know.
Tyson did not dispute owning the print, but said no commission involved minors. The image was quietly edited out of all videos where it appeared after this revelation. Facing a storm of controversy, Mr. Beast hired the law firm Quinn Emanuel to comb millions of files and conduct dozens of interviews. 3 months later, the investigators reported, quote, no evidence of grooming, child pornography, or other sexual misconduct, though they did flag isolated workplace harassment incidents that rapidly scaled Mr. Beast's operation. Tyson's name was cleared on paper, but they remain offline.
I'm the washed up nigga you watching, red line. What the fuck? Is that actually an insult? Bro, you can't insult me for being washed up while you're watching me. The fuck? Cancelled. Oh god. Oh no, Becca, you're. Oh god. I thought we saw the saddest of the saddest, but then Becca came along. You can't cancel people. That's such an entitled thing.
Marcos Wilton, better known as Lionmaker, opened his Minecraft channel in 2013, uploading bright, cheerful commentaries that filled a child-heavy subscriber list that soon passed 600,000. He toured fan servers, filmed with Stampy and Ballistic Squid, and marketed himself as the approachable big brother inside blocky kingdoms some kids spend more time in than they did outside. By mid-2015, screens were showing another side. On June 12th, a Swedish mother intercepted a Skype session after the 30-year-old had asked her 12-year-old daughter for nude photos and told the girl to keep quiet. The same night, a 16-year-old boy in California said Wilton offered him $500 for full frontal shots. Both teens handed over the chat logs. One PayPal receipt backed up the cash offer. Wilton said the account had been hacked. 6 months later, on December 23, 2015, his verified Twitter account spat out 2 explicit photographs of Paige the Panda, a 16-year-old fan he met on the Minecraft convention circuits, plus a confession-style tweet reading, "I have fooled you all and made plenty of money while doing it." The tweets vanished within minutes, but screenshots spread faster than any cleanup. Belgian police hauled him in for questioning that night. He resurfaced, claiming both a jail stay and a blackmailer were to blame. Yet he never explained how the blackmailer came by the images. The fallout cost Wilton all of his sponsorships, and parents began forwarding transcripts to British and Belgian cybercrime units. Court files remained sealed, but reporting in 2020 noted that he had ultimately spent about 10 months behind bars on child exploitation charges before slipping back online under the handle Leomaker. YouTube viewers spotted the rebrand quickly, and the flagging started again. On September 20th, 2020, the platform erased every Lion Maker-related channel under its severe predatory behavior clause, one of the rare lifetime bans issued that year. Since then, Wilton has tried to lurk in Discord servers and fringe streaming sites, but the Minecraft community treats any reappearance like a fire drill. Alerts go out, moderators swing hammers, and the screen goes black where his avatar used to stand. Jimpop, whose real name is Starlet Zhao, launched his YouTube channel in 2013 and grew an audience uploading, what else? Minecraft content. Because of course it's Minecraft, and hit the 300,000 subscriber mark 3 years later, riding side by side with Sky Does Minecraft and the rest of the Sky Media crew. The videos themselves were harmless, bright thumbnails, slapstick voiceovers, and running jokes that played well with middle school viewers who filled his comment sections every afternoon. Through 2015, the uploads came almost daily from a shared studio north of Seattle. By the summer of 2016, Zhao was averaging at least 50,000 views of video and planning a solo brand. Behind the scenes, he was cultivating a private Discord friendship with a girl who was 14 when they met. According to an FBI affidavit, he coaxed her into sending explicit photos, promised in-person roleplay, and urged her to bring a friend for filming. On August 5th, 2016, Zhao flew to Detroit Metro Airport, texted that he was 10 minutes from baggage claim, and walked straight into an FBI arrest team. Kotaku broke the story a month later. By then, his channel had gone dark, and every planned convention appearance had vanished from the roster. Federal prosecutors charged him with the production and receipt of child pornography, online enticement of a minor, and interstate travel with intent to engage in illegal sexual activity. An Eastern District of Michigan judge ordered him held without bail, noting clear and convincing evidence he posed a danger to the community. The order cites thousands of chat lines and the explicit images already in evidence. The docket shows no bond motions ever succeeded, and Zhao spent the next several years in federal custody, while the case inched forward behind sealed filings. Public inmate records list a 7-year sentence and a release date of June 2nd, 2022, shaved down for time served and good behavior, though neither the plea agreement nor the final judgment was made public. Since he's been released, no social media account, stream, or video has resurfaced under his name. His channel remains frozen at 302 uploads. And since one of the conditions of his parole is that he's probably no longer allowed to access the internet, I'd say it's very unlikely he'll ever make a return. Austin Jones started posting a cappella pop punk covers from his bedroom in 2007, and by the time he was booked for Vans Warped Tour in 2015, his videos had accumulated more than 40 million views. However, that summer a petition surfaced accusing the 22-year-old of coaxing teenage fans to send him twerking clips on Facebook. Jones later uploaded an apology, admitted the requests, and bowed out to the tour, but the channel kept growing.
I used to ask fans for twerking videos. Yes, twerking the dance move. It's not something that I'm proud of. It's not something that I think is right. And I shouldn't have done it. This really blew up online when a YouTuber and someone that's very popular on social media somehow found this out and decided to blast it out there. I'm not going to say any names because I've come under attack on social media from my name being spread around, and I don't want to put that on anyone else. Nothing ever went further than twerking videos. There were never any nudes, never any physical contact. It never happened. So I just have to get that out there because nothing ever went further.
Homeland Security agents opened a deeper probe after a tip in 2016. Chat logs showed Jones telling girls as young as 14 that they could prove their devotion by filming explicit routines. He dictated outfits, angles, and the number of hip thrusts, then urged them to delete the evidence. When investigators traced 2 videos back to his Bloomingdale, Illinois address, they picked him up at O'Hare on June 12, 2017. The federal complaint charged 2 counts of producing child pornography. A judge ordered him offline and under house arrest while the case moved forward. Jones pleaded guilty to 1 count of receipt of child pornography on February 1, 2019. In his admission, he acknowledged contacting at least 6 minors, directing them to create and send sexually explicit videos, and attempting the same with about 30 more. On May 3, 2019, a US District Court judge sentenced him to 10 years in federal prison, noting the systemic way he leveraged fame to exploit fans. YouTube terminated his channel the same week. As of 2025, Jones is still in prison at FCI Loretto in Pennsylvania. Records list December 31st, 2027 as his earliest possible release date. When he is finally released, it's safe to say he won't be returning to YouTube, and he certainly won't be invited back to perform at any festivals again anytime soon. Amos Yee created his YouTube channel in 2012 as a precocious teenager ranting into a webcam about Chinese New Year. 3 years later, he detonated local headlines with a video mocking the then recently deceased Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew.
Lee Kuan Yew, contrary to popular belief, was a horrible person and an awful leader to our country. He was a dictator, but managed to fool most of the world to think he was democratic, and he did so by still granting us the opportunity to vote to make it seem like we have freedom of choice. However, during your rule, you controlled the entire media and education, proliferating nationalistic propaganda on a daily basis. Like right now, since Lee Kuan Yew is dead, all day you see 24-hour news coverage of necrophiliacs sucking Lee Kuan Yew's dick.
Singapore charged him with wounding religious feelings, and he spent 4 weeks in a juvenile lockup and walked out claiming censorship proved his point. He doubled down on provocation and got himself a second jail stint in 2016, but then managed to slip through US immigration in 2017, winning political asylum by branding himself as a persecuted dissident. In the US, he was granted new bandwidth and no speech laws. Within months, his channel pivoted from secular rants to open support to legalize relations with minors. Videos with titles like "Are Pedophiles Really Evil?" Patreon supporters left him, but a fringe following of self-described MAPs filled the gap. Federal agents took notice after a 14-year-old Texan girl told police she had traded nude photos with Yee over WhatsApp while he was living in Chicago. On October 16, 2020, Illinois officers arrested him on 16 counts of child pornography and solicitation. He took a plea deal in December 2021, guilty to 2 charges, 6 years in state prison, time backdated to his arrest. Court files noted thousands of explicit messages and folders of saved images. He was paroled early on October 7, 2023. Halfway through his term, Yee walked out of prison under strict internet and residency restrictions. 3 weeks later, he posted a blog entry praising child-adult relationships and vowing to, quote, offend again if given the chance. Illinois parole officers revoked his release on November 8th, and the next day, he was in the maximum security wing at Statesville Prison. As of this recording, he is still behind bars. It's honestly hard not to laugh at what a smug idiot he was being by making that blog post. He knew what was going to happen. I guess he just really likes it in prison. Mike Lombardo was a Berkeley graduate musician who posted videos to YouTube that he filmed in his dorm room while also being signed to DFTBA Records, and was known to send flirtatious replies to the fans who would post song requests in his comment sections. On YouTube, he collected a decent following. Behind the scenes, he was collecting something else. In July 2012, federal agents seized his hard drive and found hundreds of nude images sent by girls as young as 11. Most tagged with the same screen names that would appear on his livestream chat. Lombardo pleaded guilty in September 2013 to receiving child pornography from at least 6 minors. Court filings describe him coaching girls on posing, critiquing lighting, and demanding videos, quote, so he could tell if they were lying about their age. In February 2014, a federal judge handed him 5 years at FCI Fort Dix, a sentence long enough for the platform to forget his name, and short enough that the victims were still in high school when he walked out on August 16, 2018. His YouTube channel never came back, but surprisingly, he did. He now goes by the name Michael Lawrence and works as an audio systems engineer and frequently appears on the Signal to Noise podcast, and he even has a LinkedIn page. Somehow, despite being a convicted sex offender, he's still getting work. But obviously he won't return to YouTube because the minute he does, people will immediately bring up what he did and force him to leave again just as quickly as he returned. Thaddeus Lewis McMichael opened the channel MadThad0890 while he was still in high school, propping a webcam on his bedroom desk and making various rant videos and also singing. For the most part, his videos were normal and he came across as basically just a fairly eccentric guy, but then on April 13th, 2011, he uploaded this video.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Kotonoha. Happy birthday to you. Blow out the candles, Kotonoha. Yay! I love you. And I hope you have a good birthday today. Now time for a delicious cake with my waifu. Yay! You jelly? Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear me. Happy birthday to me. No, remember my birthday with Kotonoha. At least she remembers. She will always and forever be my waifu. Forever alone. Forever alone. Forever alone. Forever alone. Cha cha cha.
As you can see, he has a rather strange obsession with the character Kotonoha from the anime school days. He even owns a body pillow of her. And yes, apparently he did film himself being intimate with it. Also, I take back what I said about him not appearing to be too weird before, because before this video, he said this.
I'm not a big fan of real child pornography, like, cause it's kind of, I don't know, I'm not that interested in real people like that, you know? But drawn, animated child pornography, I'm okay with, cause it's drawn. Cause real people aren't that sexy to me when it comes to that kind of shit. Probably kind of all kind of shit, you know? I got fat more to hentai than browsers videos, cause when you see one browsers videos, you see it all, cause they're all like the same format, you know, shitty. But that's not the point. But anyway, and then like I saw today that Japan's coming out with a bill saying that they're gonna ban all child pornography, saying they're gonna ban anybody under the age of 18 being drawn cannot be drawn naked. That's terrible because alright, think of all the animes you know with people under 18 years old and people over 18 years old. It's not that many. I mean, you put the two together, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like all them fucking people, you know, like Pokemon. People drawing Dawn and Misty and May naked and shit, and that new girl from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, they're all like 10, 13, you know what I'm saying? People draw, you gonna ban people from drawing fan art of that shit? What's gonna happen to all the people that make rape fantasies and brother and sister sex scenes and shit like that? Sex mangas, you know, I like that kind of shit, you know? Wish I had a little sister so I could have sex with. I got a brother, he's so I can't really have sex with him.
And if this wasn't bad enough, his postings on Facebook were even worse, where he'd apparently post about how to look for explicit material featuring children, and also how to encrypt it. These posts were eventually reported to the FBI, who brought Thaddeus in for questioning, and he later said that those posts were just a joke, but the FBI then checked his PC and found 300 to 350 indecent images and videos of children on his hard drive in a folder labeled "Don't Click." He immediately posted bail, and as part of his bail, his conditions were having to wear an ankle monitor and being disallowed from using the internet until the bail was up. 3 days later, he went on Twitter and made this infamous tweet. "I'm back. "Miss my waifu. Stupid feds didn't even find my backup hard drive." This post resulted in him receiving 5 years in prison, eventually being released in 2018. For whatever reason, since his release, he's been allowed to continue posting on YouTube. Apparently, one of his parole conditions was that he has to give all of his online passwords to the US Department of Justice, so it would seem they are aware that he's still active on the internet, but they must be keeping a very watchful eye of him to make sure he doesn't do any of the stuff he did before. As of today, he's still posting as if nothing ever happened, but nobody who knows who he is has forgotten that he's also a sick freak who spent 5 years in prison for owning indecent material of children. Honestly, he shouldn't be on YouTube right now, but life just isn't fair, I guess. In the early days of YouTube, a 45-acre scrap lot outside Lucan, Ontario turned into a stunt park called David's Farm. David Hugh Rock let friends and teenage visitors launch clamped-out cars off dirt ramps, blow airbags under lawn chairs, and ride motorbikes through ponds. By 2010, the channel was pulling 95 million views and up to 15 grand a month in AdSense. What most watchers didn't know was David Rock's earlier life. In 1992, he pleaded guilty to 7 counts of sexually exploiting 2 boys, filming them while he coached them to masturbate, before doctors labeled him a paedophile. The past stayed buried until a September 2009 crash on the property snapped a visitor's spine and drew local reporters. Global News aired the criminal file in October 2010.
I'm the most loved and the most hated man on YouTube.
Dave divides his world into black and white, and his followers are either one or the other.
Dave's Farm lovers think I'm the god of cars and technical stuff.
And who do the Dave haters think you are?
A dirty pedophile like Michael Jackson who's just trying to attract kids to the farm so I can rape and molest them.
Are you a sexual predator?
I absolutely say no. Don't call me a pedophile, don't call me all those things. Call me a voyeur. That was what was wrong with me. I've been clean for 20 years. I wasn't doing this stuff all along. I hang out with women. I mean, this is why I have children. It's women I'm after, not children. I have lots of money. If I wanted to exploit children, I could certainly pay them and pay them to shut up or pay them to do whatever I wanted.
Jalopnik followed with a profile that called him the sex criminal who became a YouTube sensation, triggering a wave of flagging campaigns, death threats, and a police raid over environmental violations and underage guests. Rock insisted minors were only allowed with guardians, kept uploading, and watched his subscriber count continue to climb. Ontario Provincial Police finally seized his computers in 2015. Investigators found fresh child abuse imagery, and in early 2016, a judge handled the then 53-year-old David Rock 9 months in jail for possession of child pornography and locked him onto Canada's sex offender registry for life. He walked free before the year was out and moved back to the farm, but by then his channel was already gone. While YouTube had terminated his main channel, he opened a new one and continued uploading from there, though the views of course were nowhere near as good as he once got. For years, he paraded himself as something of a cool uncle type character to his viewers, and of course they never knew the past he was hiding, and of course never knew that he'd offend again. Cadence Pinder started uploading in 2017, filming hormone replacement vlogs from a back bedroom in Sandy, Utah. The channel drew a steady trickle of viewers looking for first-person transition diaries and updates on the small-at-home daycare she and her boyfriend Marcus Strebel ran out of the same split-level house. Google broke that routine in December 2019, when its automated filters caught child abuse images moving through one of Pinder's Gmail accounts. Investigators traced the IP to a phone on her nightstand, pulled warrants, and in February 2021, filed 15 felony counts of sexual exploitation of a minor against Pinder and 10 against Strebel. A forensic sweep of their phones turned up roughly 125 pictures, some showing children as young as 3. Detectives noted that both suspects had full access to the daycare space next door. Out on pre-trial release, the pair were ordered to stay off the internet and away from kids. By December 2021, officers were back with another warrant after fresh files pinged from the same address. They found the couple living inside the business hours of the daycare, a live Wi-Fi connection, and what looked like meth in a side room. Judges revoked bail. In April 2022, Pinder and Strebel cut a plea deal, 2 counts each, potential prison term suspended, 300 and 365 days in county jail with credit for time served, 4 years probation and lifetime sex offender registration. The health department closed the daycare license the same week. Since walking out of prison, Pinder has kept a low profile, and the channel seems to have been completely abandoned. But the comment sections are now filled with people rightfully condemning Pinder's actions. Steven Fernandez burst onto YouTube at 11, skating handrails in Compton and teasing women from the passenger seat of a Lexus.
If you were a triangle, you'll be a cute one.
A triangle?
Yeah.
Cute.
You get it? I didn't get that one.
Is that your girl, bro? Yeah, dude, she's all yours. How do you come through, boo? I like your eyes, boo. They're real nice. Peace out, boo. Unless you're trying to hop in. Alright, boo. You need a ride?
No, fuck off.
Okay.
Get you fucking piece of don't you dare come here either.
Bro, go faster, catch it up. You want some candy? Hop in then. You got all the good candy. You want some Jolly Ranchers? You got...
The channel Baby Scumbag spun that mix of board tricks and pickup lines into 500,000 subscribers, DGK sponsorships, and meet and greets where girls paid $150 for a selfie. Off camera, the routine got darker. Detectives say by late 2015, Fernandez and 2 adult associates, manager Jose Barajas and pro skater Keelan Dad, were cruising Ventura Boulevard, dangling cameos on a fake MTV show to lure pre-teens into sex acts. On November 17th, LAPD posed online as a 12-year-old, arranged a rendezvous at an abandoned house, and arrested Fernandez when he showed up with condoms and his cousin at the wheel. The booking sheet listed lewd conduct with a child under 14. Because he was 15, a juvenile ankle monitor replaced jail while the case moved toward trial. Overnight, brands vanished. DGK wiped his name from Dex, and the channel went silent. Fernandez resurfaced in 2017 as a SoundCloud rapper, Lil Cloud. Records after 2018 are sealed. California law hides juvenile dispositions, but no public exoneration ever emerged, and industry databases showed no skating contracts in his name past that year. As of 2025, the original channel remains inactive. Ian David Warden built News Now Houston in 2014 around a simple hook: plant a camera outside courthouses, bait deputies with open carry tests, then frame every pushback as proof the Constitution was under siege. The formula drew hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of views, while Warden, often in a ball cap and wraparound shades, lectured officers on case law he'd memorized in prison. Court files show that he had already served time for an early 1990s aggravated kidnapping and rape conviction, a fact rarely mentioned in his audit streams. A fresh case surfaced in 2021 when one of Warden's adult daughters told Deer Park detectives he had molested her throughout the late 1990s. Investigators reopened the file, tracked down siblings, and pulled a warrant the week before Christmas. A Harris County jury heard the testimony in December 2022, watched hours of tape interviews, and took less than a day to convict him of sexual assault of a child. Warden signed a plea deal and was given 20 years in prison, the maximum amount the plea allowed. Warden appealed, arguing jurors were swayed by talk of racism and religion. The First Court of Appeals rejected every point on New Year's Eve 2024 and let the verdict stand. Prison records now list his projected release in December 2042, when he will be 80. His channel is surprisingly still up, but it will be another 17 years before Earl David Warden uploads to it again, and that's assuming he even lives that long. Andre Jean-Luc Tucker launched Otaku Studio in 2016, where he would post animation videos mixing original characters with not safe for work riffs on Gainax icons and racking up 6-figure views. Behind the scenes, freelance artists say he paid an exposure at best and insults at worst. One former contractor posted chat logs showing Tucker threatening to, quote, blacklist her if she quit before finishing 40+ shots for free. But that type of controversy pales in comparison to what he is most infamous for. In the early hours of January 29, 2019, Beaumont, Texas detectives tracking a missing 12-year-old girl traced a back page ad to a local motel, rescued the child in a sting, and found her phone full of messages from Tucker arranging meetups for cash. A search warrant pulled him out of his apartment the next day. He admitted on tape that he had already had sex with the minor. A Jefferson County grand jury returned 2 indictments for aggravated assault of a child on April 25, 2019. Following this, his Patreon and Shark Robot pages were both removed, but his YouTube channel still remains up to this day. In March 2021, someone hijacked his dormant Twitter account, switched the location to prison, and simply said Otako Studios, aka Andre Jean-Luc Tucker, was arrested for assault towards a 12-year-old minor. He will be in prison for 10 years. And that's pretty much all I was able to find out about Andre. There's very little information about him out there. All I can say is, he's an absolute piece of shit, and thank God he's in prison, if only for 10 years, when, let's be honest, he should be in there for the rest of his life. Carl Herold showed up on Reddit in 2009 offering free programming help, then moved the lessons onto YouTube in 2012. He posted nearly 120 videos, pulled in more than 30,000 subscribers, and even landed Reddit's User of the Day badge that July. Early viewers remember him answering coding questions over Skype at no charge, the kind of accessibility most tutorial channels still don't bother with. The upload stopped in November 2013. A few weeks later, Alabama investigators revealed the reason. Herold and his live-in partner, Charles Dunavant, had been arrested for crimes against Herold's 9-year-old son. Prosecutors accused the pair of sodomy, aggravated child abuse, producing and distributing child pornography, and keeping the boy locked inside their Huntsville home for months. Hundreds of explicit images were seized. Some reportedly showed the child himself. A judge set the bond at $1 million cash for each man. As the case widened in early 2014, new indictments pushed the count against Herold past 20 separate charges. Detectives testified that the child had no schooling, no contact with anyone outside the house, and that the abuse stretched back at least 8 months before the raid. Federal prosecutors in New York prepared their own file after tracing videos uploaded from Herold's computer. On November 4, 2014, while awaiting extradition, Herold was found hanging in his Clay County jail cell. He was 33, leaving Dunavant to face the state and federal dockets alone. Herold's lawyer claimed that the suicide blindsided him. The Madison County District Attorney's Office said the suicide robbed the courtroom of a full accounting, but at least spared the victim another round of testimony. Dunavant eventually took a plea deal, drawing a 36-year federal term, followed by a 20-year state sentence that runs concurrently. Police say the victim was in protective custody and spent a long time in therapy, but was able to make progress in their recovery. Herold's YouTube archive remains frozen in 2013. Quiet, instructional, and permanently tainted once viewers know what was happening behind the scenes. Let's be honest, you do not need me to tell you who Chris Chan is. You are all very aware who Chris Chan is. I imagine you've all seen the Geno Samuel documentary series. I used to watch that all the time when it was new. So trust me, we are not going to go into a deep dive on Chris Chan's life because this Iceberg video would be weeks long if I did. So we're just going to go over the stuff that's relevant to this video. Chris Chan, born Christopher Weston Chandler, later Christian Weston Chandler and now Christine Weston Chandler, drifted onto YouTube after years of defending their Sonichu webcomic on forums that treated their life as an interactive theatre. Viewers first met a soft-spoken gamer speaking from a cluttered Virginia bedroom. Trolls met a target they could needle for endless reactions. By the mid-2010s, Chris had been filmed pepper-spraying a GameStop clerk over a Sonic recolor, live-streaming rants about a coming dimensional merge, and begging strangers online for money when the family house caught fire. Every provocation added more raw material for the people who archived Chris's every misstep, down to the funeral of Chris's father in 2011, the moment Chris and their elderly mother, Barbara, were left alone in the house. On July 30th, 2021, a 9-minute phone call leaked. A voice sounding like Chris described having sexual contact with their 79-year-old mother, who was showing signs of dementia. The recording rocketed through Kiwi Farms and Reddit. While users dialed Greene County Police, officers served an emergency protective order, moved Barbara to the hospital for a wellness check, and left Chris sleeping in a battered van outside a Richmond motel. 2 days later, Ethan Ralph's livestream captured deputies leading Chris away in handcuffs. Chris told the camera almost cheerfully that everything's going to be alright.
Fine.
Your goddess blue heart, and I continue to stand strong, and I maintain everything with quick will and my side shoes and rose shoes and everybody.
Yeah, you're live to about 3,000 people right now, Christian.
How do you believe?
Well, don't. You're taking everything in stride. You said you're doing good?
Yeah, I keep a good faith. Everything is going to work out.
Doing good, feeling good?
Well,
how's the last few days been? I know it's been pretty stressful.
It's been stressful, but I've taken it one moment at a time, and I got my loves.
Prosecutors filed a single felony incest count, punishable by up to 10 years. Chris sat in the Central Virginia Regional Jail through to March 2023, with a detour to Western State Hospital after doctors ruled them incompetent for trial. Letters sent from Chris's cell mixed biblical prophecies with requests for trading cards. Court dockets rolled over again and again until a grand jury review landed in circuit court. On August 8, 2023, the judge dismissed the case after the defense secured an autism-related deferred disposition. The file was sealed the same day. By the way, I didn't know if you knew this, but Chris is actually autistic. Doesn't mention it often, so you could probably be forgiven for not knowing. Chris walked out after 19 months inside, right back to the same old channel, where they'll continue to be documented probably for the rest of their life. And Chris somehow managed to avoid 10 years in prison, despite being a literal motherfucker. Before I start talking about Nick Bate, here are his teeth. I know it sounds crazy for a British person to be critiquing an American's teeth, but if Nick bit you with those, you would die, no question. Those things are diseased, although they're probably still better than King Cobra JFS's teeth. If he bit you, you'd die and turn into a zombie afterwards. Nicholas Stautenberger, better known as Nick Bate, started filming himself in 2008. The clips were raw bedroom vlogs, one of which was a tour of his room that showed the absolutely awful conditions he lived in, and also sharing way too much information about what he does with a toilet plunger.
Here's a bathroom, there's a toilet, there's a plunger that I use as a butt plug.
On his blog, he wrote, without irony, about masturbating with his own feces, the same preoccupation spilled into late-night rants, where he joked that, quote, vaginas are gross, but scat was not. By 2011, the channel stalled at 12 videos. Offline, Manor Township detectives were already tracking a darker thread. Chat transcripts from August 2009 show Bate bragging that he was abusing his 6-year-old half-sister. The assaults continued through 2010 in a split-level house outside Columbia, Pennsylvania, while the other adults were at work. When the chat log resurfaced in 2015, it was forwarded to the police. The arrest affidavit laid out a timeline that prosecutors later read in court. Grooming began when the girl was 5, escalated to penetration, and ended only when detectives knocked on the door 6 years later. Nick, then 23, was charged with voluntary, deviant sexual intercourse with a child and 2 counts of aggravated indecent assault. He entered the Lancaster County Courthouse in shackles on January 25, 2016. The victim, now 11, took to the stand and confirmed that Nick was indeed her abuser. Jurors also reviewed the full chat transcript, including Nick's line-by-line commentary. The judge needed 45 minutes to return a verdict, guilty on all counts. At sentencing on April 26, 2016, the judge told Bate, your crimes will follow your sister for the rest of her life, then imposed 16.5 to 40 years in state prison and ordered lifetime sex offender registration. Court records note that his earliest release date is 2032, and any parole would still leave him under state supervision until age 70. Today, Nick is obviously still rotting in prison where he belongs. New mugshots occasionally surface. The first one actually showed him looking fairly normal, all things considered, but as time went on he looked more and more weathered and his hair appears to be continuously falling out. I imagine what was left of his teeth have most likely fallen out by now, and I'm sure we all hope that his fellow prisoners are giving him hell for what he did, because he most certainly deserves it. He went from being a gross weirdo on the internet to a complete monster. And that's the end of the video, folks. As you can see, I've covered a lot of these people before, but at the very least, I finally got EDP445 out of the way, so people can stop saying I forgot him in my worst YouTubers videos. Also, as you may have noticed, I showed Chris Chan with their silver play button that YouTube sent them. You know who crossed the 100,000 subscriber mark 4 years ago, and still to this day hasn't received their silver play button? Me. Yes, someone who took advantage of their elderly mother gets rewarded by YouTube, but I don't. That's really nice, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If this video does well, I'll get right on to working on part 2. Be sure to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. A little under 2 weeks ago, I uploaded the first part of the evil YouTubers Iceberg. And in that video, we began covering the worst of what YouTube has to offer. It focused on abusers, people who got caught with illegal material featuring underage individuals, and people who, let's just say, don't like taking no for an answer. I said I'd make part 2 if that video did well, and it did. So here is the evil YouTubers Iceberg, part 2. Also, the last video got demonetized just before it hit 150,000 views. So if any of you are interested in supporting me on Patreon, that would be greatly appreciated.
Never talk about your own beliefs. Otherwise, you will be discriminated and censored. Growing on YouTube is not in your hands. It all depends on who is controlling your channel.
Naseem Najafi Nagdam was born in Iran, but later moved with her family to Southern California. Online, she reinvented herself as Naseem Sabs, a one-woman production team who shot vegan workout tutorials, Persian language music videos, and protests against animal testing. In 2016, she started mapping every dip in her view count as though it were a personal attack. YouTube's shift in monetization, brought about by the apocalypse tightening of ad rules, cut her earnings to pennies, and she said the company was, quote, filtering her channels. In late March 2018, she recorded a final rant. There is no free speech in a real world, and you will be suppressed for telling the truth, she said. Her father heard the anger and phoned police, warning that she hated YouTube and might go to their offices. She had already left home. Stepping in her car north of San Diego, on the morning of April 3rd, she drove to a San Bruno gun range, firing the Smith & Wesson 9mm she had brought in January. Hours later, she parked behind YouTube's headquarters, stuffed the pistol and extra magazines into a brown bag, and walked through an open courtyard full of employees having their lunch. Inside the patio, she opened fire without warning. A 36-year-old man and 2 women, aged 32 and 27, fell bleeding beside cafe tables. Dozens more ran into hallways and hid under desks while alarms echoed. Security footage showed her pacing, then turning on herself before patrol officers reached the scene. Investigators later said she did not know the victims and appeared to be shooting at random. In the following hours, her channels vanished, but fragments survived in news broadcasts. The pastel-painted set, the hand-drawn slogans, and the steady refrain that YouTube had ruined her life. At the very least, the 3 people she shot survived the attack. Eric Stelter's videos consisted of low-budget workout vlogs in the gym in his hometown of Cohasset, Massachusetts. He flexed for the camera and threw in rambling pep talks that sometimes slid into incoherence. His channel barely even made it past 3 figures in terms of subscribers, but friends noticed the videos growing stranger, quicker cuts, wild-eyed rants about hidden enemies, and in real life this shift was harder to ignore. His family called EMTs on Christmas Day 2018 after he tore up the living room insisting someone was bugging the walls. The medics said he knew his name and the date, so they left without taking him in. 2 days later, the family hired a private intervention team, but they never made it to the house. By the way, Eric was apparently about 6 foot 7 inches tall, around the same size as powerlifters like Brian Shaw and Tom Stoltman, so the idea of someone that size going into a blind rage is truly terrifying. And that's exactly what happened just 2 days after this incident. Stelter had arranged a Tinder meetup with 24-year-old Megan Tapley. She arrived on the night of December 27th and, according to police, barely made it through the doorway before the assault began. Neighbors heard screams, officers forced entry, and found Tapley with deep stab wounds and facial fractures, while Stelter kept swinging the knife. They hit him with tasers multiple times to pull her free. On the ride to South Shore Hospital, his pulse flatlined. Doctors pronounced him dead less than an hour later. Tapley survived after surgeries to repair nerve damage around her right eye, and close defensive cuts that nearly severed tendons. Investigators later ruled the officer's force justified, but Stelter's father hired counsel, claiming 6 taser shots amounted to excessive force. Toxicology and autopsy reports pointed to a mix of heart problems, stimulant use, the struggle, and the shocks themselves. All that remains of Stelter's YouTube channel is this one archived page that shows the videos he uploaded, though none of them actually work anymore. At the time of the assault, his channel was tiny, so no one will have taken the time to actually download any of his videos to repost them. And now all he'll ever be known for is trying to kill Megan Tapley in a blind rage. Kelly Stapleton was an at-home mother in rural Benzie County, Michigan, who poured her days into a blog called The Status Woe and a string of YouTube uploads that showed her teenage daughter Izzy's violent autism-related outbursts and the experimental treatments meant to tame them. Viewers saw the bruises on Stapleton's face and appeals for cash to keep a $765 a day therapy program afloat. By late summer 2013, the situation had curdled. Insurance pulled funding, Izzy's school placement collapsed, and hospital records logged several assaults on staff and family. Friends noticed Stapleton's posts slipping from exhausted humor into bleak resignation. On September 3rd, she signed her daughter out of a day program, bought charcoal and lighter fluid, and drove the family van down a forest track near Lake Michigan. She lit 2 grills in the back seat, closed the doors, and waited for carbon monoxide to do its work. A passing state trooper found the van hours later. Stapleton and Izzy were both unconscious. Paramedics revived them and airlifted Izzy to intensive care with brain swelling and organ damage. Prosecutors filed attempted murder and child abuse charges, facing a jury that had already seen her blog entries. Stapleton took a plea to first-degree child abuse and, in October 2014, received a 10 to 22 year sentence, telling the court, quote, "She is not the monster, I am." Stapleton served a little more than 8 years before the Michigan Department of Corrections paroled her in late 2022. Izzy, now in her mid-20s, continues long-term rehabilitation. The YouTube videos from the channel only survive as mirrored fragments. In fact, any footage you've seen of Kelly and Izzy in this video has actually been from the video Nick Crowley made about them, since it's literally the only footage of them I could find. As once Kelly was released, she either removed or privated all of the videos, obviously wanting to put that period of her life behind her, I guess. Matthias Ignacio Vera Oyarzo, I have no idea if that's how his name is pronounced, and I honestly don't care, opened his channel Peluchin Entertainment in 2014 when he was 10 years old. His subscriber count stayed modest for 4 years, but by 2018, he was chasing shock value. Live stream rants about schoolmates blurred into footage of him baiting the family cat, Eddie nicknamed Jason Kruger. On December 19, 2018, a video he uploaded 2 weeks earlier resurfaced, showing him violently attacking the cat by picking him up by his tail and throwing him down multiple times, then proceeding to step on him, kick him, and repeatedly hit him with a wooden spoon as the cat tried to escape. Jason Kruger would later die in the veterinary hospital from the injuries caused by Matthias. Another video showed him throwing one of the 2 kittens that he got after Jason Kruger's death into a dirty toilet bowl. Users scraped his address from old vlogs and posted Google Street View screenshots of his house. Chilean TV crews called it the first viral test of the new Ley Cholito cruelty statute, yet police said there was little they could do while the suspect was 15. Death threats and doxing pushed him and his family into temporary hiding, but the channel stayed live until September 29, 2020, when YouTube finally killed it for policy violations. Almost immediately, he slid back under new throwaway names, 2 of them being Saitam and Arev, which are actually 2 of his names spelled backwards. Each time, he denied remorse and lashed out to critics who tracked his new accounts. Apparently in recent times, he has said that he wants to be forgiven for what he did, but nah, fuck him. The guy's an evil little freak who even looks like a weirdo and has a really stupid voice.
Hoy voy a hacer un video que no lo voy a llamar unboxing porque ya abrí esta wea y yo ya sé cómo va. Y ya lo saqué el paquete. Así que lo pondré como probando mi nuevo micrófono lavalier. Y para los que no sepan qué es un micrófono lavalier, es un micrófono que se pone acá. Y ojo, no va a ser mi nuevo micrófono principal, seguiré haciendo este, pero lo compré para unos videos específicos que quiero hacer, ya que este micrófono sirve para que cuando te muevas no se pierda el audio. O sea, un ejemplo, si yo...
And Matthias, if you're watching this, go fuck yourself. Also, apparently he's found Jesus and does Bible readings on his channel now. You can pray as much as you want, Matthias. You are 100% going to hell when you die. Leighton Allen Labute created his YouTube channel in 2016 and named it Dollyflesh, a name he said combined the sweetness of toys with the mess he liked to make of them. And as you can see, he looked completely ridiculous, particularly his hair. There are many comments out there comparing this hairstyle to a phone, and yeah, they're right. Early uploads were shaky stop-motion shorts, mostly of clay characters being slaughtered and killing each other, because right from the start he was a complete edgelord. People could already tell that this guy was really messed up, but in 2019 he decided to take the shock factor much further. On May 6th, he made a post on Twitter saying he was thinking of buying 3 hamsters. On May 14th, he uploaded a video showing that he had bought 3 hamsters and was just playing with them on his bed, and the very next day, he uploaded a video in which he brutally killed them, amputating, drowning, crushing, and microwaving them. The video was obviously immediately taken down, but he was reported to the police. On May 25, 2020, he was arrested for the killing and abuse of the hamsters. His reasons for killing the hamsters were that he was bored and he found it entertaining. In August 2021, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of animal cruelty and drew an 18-month conditional sentence, 3 years probation, a strict curfew, and a total ban on unsupervised internet access or visits to any store that sells animals or weapons. And he walked out of court wearing an ankle monitor. Officially, he disappeared, but in mid-2024, Reddit users spotted new channels recycling his old gore loops under names like Dusty Flesh and Dolly Flesh Uploads. Whether it's him or copycats is still unclear. Either way, his channel is gone. And I'm just going to end this segment the way I ended it when I spoke about him in my second worst YouTubers video. Get rid of that goofy ass haircut, you sad, pathetic, cringy edgelord loser. Adam Britton was a British zoologist who mostly specialised in reptiles, particularly crocodiles. He created a YouTube channel in 2006 called Crazy Croc, although he himself never actually appeared in any of the videos he uploaded, except for one short clip from a TV program he appeared on. The rest were all videos of crocodiles, and the last video uploaded on there features 2 dogs. And if you know anything about Adam Britton, those 2 dogs were most likely not well treated. What the channel never showed was the locked shipping container behind his home at McGinn's Lagoon in Darwin, Australia, a soundproof space that he called his, quote, torture room. Between 2020 and 2022, he trawled Gumtree's pet section, convincing at least 42 dog owners that their animals would enjoy a new life on his property. Inside the container, he filmed himself raping, mutilating, and killing 39 of those dogs, editing the footage and sharing it with a small circle of like-minded offenders while using the handles Monster and Cerberus. Police later recovered devices showing more than 60 separate clips, each catalogued, titled, and timestamped. The investigation began when US authorities tipped off Australian Federal Police about files traced to Britain's IP address that also contained Category A child abuse material. Northern Territory detectives executed a search warrant in April 2022. Britton was arrested that day, but court-ordered name suppression kept the public from learning who the NT dog rapist really was, until he entered formal pleas in September 2023. Court records showed he sent owners staged photos of their already dead pets, fed remains to crocodiles on the property, and, in chat logs, admitted hurting animals since adolescence. Despite a handwritten apology, the judge found little genuine remorse. On August 8, 2024, he was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison, 6 to be served before parole, along with a lifetime ban on keeping animals. Britton was 53 at the time of sentencing, and his resume still listed collaborations with National Geographic and even taking part in David Attenborough's Life in Cold Blood series. Proof of how completely his professional reputation masked an escalating obsession with zoo sadism. Also, if you're a Walking with Dinosaurs fan, you may have a hard time watching the special episode The Ballad of Big Al, because, as it turns out, Adam Britton was actually a scientific consultant on that episode. Adam is by far the least prominent and least active YouTuber I've covered so far, but also easily the most evil, at least as far as the ones we've covered up until now.
"24-2 not here. It's all over. It is all over. The atheists have been defeated. These motherfuckers have been caught on their bullshit." If Vinavay X is the truth, Vinavay X shut them down. I'm gonna tell you just how, I'm gonna show you and tell you just how pathetic and ignorant and stupid these atheists are. My God, it's beautiful. They're angry. They have so much rage and hate in them. Look at this. This is so pathetic, I swear to God. Look, 24-2 is back. I'm coming back. Atheists, I'm clowning on these atheists from now on. I was preaching the word of God, Christians, all that. It's over with now. I want to read this to you. Look at this pathetic atheist. He is so angry, has so much rage in his heart.
Anthony Powell created his YouTube channel Tony48219 in 2007 and spent the next 2 years uploading grainy bedroom-lit rant videos. He ranted about religion, evolution, and what he called shameless black women.
If y'all know Venom Fang X, you already know his videos. A lot of his videos are the truth. He tells the truth. He speaks the word of God like he's supposed to. And we have these Muslims, these atheists, these Jehovah's Witnesses, these tools of Satan, these troopers of Satan, these monsters, these demons, these subhuman that's trying to destroy the Christian religion. They're going against God. They're going against Jesus. We have to take a stand. We have to stand up for what Jesus did. He died on the cross. He was tortured, beaten, spit on, made fun of, mocked, like we're getting mocked. We have to stand together. These Muslims are going to strap bombs to their bodies. They're going to come at us. They're going to try to blow us up. These atheists are going to sit back and insult us, call us insane. And we got these Jehovah's Witnesses that they call us evil. We got to stand together, my Christian brothers and sisters. We have to. If we don't, then we're all going to just fall. It's as simple as that.
But behind the scenes, classmates at Henry Ford Community College watched the rants turn into fixations. One was Asia McGowan, a 20-year-old theatre major who had her own small YouTube channel. Powell talked about her on video. Then offline, he started hovering outside her rehearsals. There were apparently parts of a long deleted video that showed him calling her, quote, another atheist tool, while apparently loading a shotgun off camera. On April 10th, 2009, he walked into an empty fine arts classroom with that same 12-gauge shotgun, and there he waited. Asia McGowan arrived not long after. From outside, a single blast could be heard. Seconds later, responding officers heard Powell use himself. When detectives pulled his hard drive, they found a final never-posted video recorded that morning. Powell pacing the room, shotgun propped against a desk, muttering that, quote, God will judge the wicked. YouTube deleted every one of his accounts within hours. As of right now, the 2 videos I've shown you are the only videos of his that have been preserved in their entirety, with everything else being completely lost. Stars Replay was part of the Russian trash stream scene, letting donations dictate what he'd do on camera. Regular viewers had already seen him pepper spray his partner, Valentina Grigorieva, soak her in cold water, and mock her as tips rolled in. Just before dawn on December 2nd, 2020, during a broadcast from a rented house near Moscow, the abuse escalated. After hitting Grigorieva, he shoved her, barefoot, dressed only in underwear, onto an unheated balcony where temperatures were well below zero. He left her there while chatting with donors, then hauled her motionless body inside, placed her on the sofa, and kept the stream going as he searched for a pulse. Paramedics arrived to a live feed and confirmed she was dead. A forensic report pointed to blunt force head trauma compounded by exposure. Police arrested him on the spot. In April 2021, the Ramensky District Court handed him a 6-year prison sentence for grievous bodily harm that led to death and seized his filming gear. On February 8, 2024, an appeals panel said he had, quote, reformed, swapped the time he had left for 2 years, 10 months of compulsory labor, and docked 15% of any earnings. 5 months later, the State Duma outlawed trash streams, making the format that fed his rise a criminal enterprise in itself. Replay's channel is long gone, but the clip of him pacing in front of Valentina's body still circulates, evidence of just how far a live chat dare can go when the only rule is to keep the feed alive. Aaron Campbell's online footprint honestly looked harmless. Short playthroughs of the horror game Slender Man on a YouTube channel that vanished once reporters linked his name to a truly heinous crime. Just after 2 a.m. on July 2, 2018, the 16-year-old Campbell slipped into a ground floor flat in Rothsay, lifted 6-year-old Alicia McPhail from her bed, and carried her through the night to the grounds of a derelict island hotel. Pathologists later logged more than 100 separate injuries, evidence of rape and prolonged violence. DNA on the child's body, a discarded condom, and security footage from his own mother's house closed the case within 48 hours. During the trial, he tried to pin the crime on his victim's teenage step-aunt, but the jury needed only a few hours to convict him. Before sentencing, he told a court psychologist he had felt, quote, quite satisfied with what he had done and had long fantasized about killing, quote, for the experience. On March 22, 2019, the High Court in Glasgow called him cold, callous and dangerous, jailing him for life with a minimum of 27 years, a term trimmed down to 24 on appeal, though nothing else has changed his status as one of Scotland's most despised inmates. Samantha Warhold was a stressed-out Texas mom filming kitchen table monologues for a YouTube channel that never cracked 4 digits in views. Off-camera, her marriage to 29-year-old Ernie Ibarra was crumbling, and in the early hours of February 20, 2015, she told 3 acquaintances, Jonathan Sanford, Jose Ponce, and Octavius Rhymes, that Ernie deserved a beating. What she got them to do instead was zip tie and pistol whip him in the couple's trailer, stuff him into her own PT Cruiser, and drive him 40 minutes to a stand of pines known locally as Sang Crossing. There, Ponce fired the rounds that left Ernie face down in the dirt, while Walford phoned her mother, pretending she too had been gagged by masked invaders. Detectives found the contradictions in less than a day. The fresh tape marks on her wrists didn't match the neat knots on the bedroom floor, and Sanford's panic led him straight back to the body. Phone records showed dozens of calls between Walford and the kidnappers in the hours before the ambush. When confronted, she shifted stories, first blaming abusive in-laws, then claiming no knowledge of the men, but the data and blood in her car closed every exit. In March 2017, a Titus County jury gave her 50 years for aggravated kidnapping. 6 months later, a Kent County panel added 99 for murder, the sentences to run one after the other. Sanford and Ponce took 50-year deals, while Rhymes drew 75. Walford, 30 at sentencing, will be eligible for parole when she's 84. Alyssa Dayvolt's channel consisted of a string of makeup tutorials that barely scraped 1,000 views, the kind of channel that usually disappears into search results before even leaving the first page. In private, she hid 2 pregnancies from everyone in her North Myrtle Beach apartment, delivering alone over the bathroom sink. First, a full-term girl in November 2017, then a boy 13 months later. Each infant was born alive. Pathologists later testified that the second newborn expelled meconium inside the plastic bag that became his coffin, proof that he'd taken breaths before she tied the knot and dropped the bundle in the complex dumpster. The secret cracked only after the second birth left her with a postpartum infection. Emergency room staff saw a fresh placenta but no baby and called the police, who dug up ultrasound records she'd ignored and found she'd searched disposal sites from her phone. Confronted, Davold murmured that she'd been scared and panicked, then admitted tossing the newborns with the household trash. When her homicide by child abuse trial opened on October 15, 2020, she simply stayed home. The jury convicted her in her absence. She surrendered the next morning, and 3 weeks later, an Horry County judge handed her 40 years in state prison with no chance of parole. Davold was 32 at sentencing and a mother to 2 surviving daughters who had never known she was pregnant. I believe I said this in my first Worst YouTubers video when I originally covered Alyssa, but I still think that she is by far the most sick and twisted individual I've ever covered, because it would take a truly heartless individual to kill 2 babies immediately after they were born. Devin Erickson's channel, Not So Fantastic Devin, only has 3 low-view Dead by Daylight streams. Nothing to hint at what would happen afterwards. At lunch on May 7, 2019, he and classmate Alec McKinney ducked out to the STEM School Highlands Ranch, cracked open Erickson's mother's gun safe with a crowbar, and stuffed a rifle plus 3 handguns into a guitar case and a backpack. Before heading back, they spray painted his white car with Fuck Society 666 and a pentagram, then torched the interior for effect. They re-entered at 1:53 p.m, slipped into darkened classroom 107 where a movie was playing, and split to opposite doors. Erickson dropped the guitar case, yanked out a Glock, and shouted, "Nobody move." 18-year-old Kendrick Castillo lunged first. The gun fired 4 times, killing Castillo and wounding 2 others before jamming. While McKinney kept shooting across the room, students Joshua Jones and Brendan Bialy wrestled Erickson to the floor and held him until deputies swarmed the hallway. 8 classmates were injured in the crossfire. A Douglas County jury convicted Erickson on 46 counts in 2021. 3 months later, Judge Teresa Slade labeled the crime, quote, "so heinous and so far-reaching that the mandatory life term wasn't enough." She tacked on 1,282 additional years without parole, so it's definitely safe to say that Devin won't be coming back to YouTube anytime soon. Trent Pascal's YouTube presence consisted of one shaky 4-minute selfie video uploaded the day he killed his wife. Looking straight into the phone, he told his 2 children that he loved them and muttered about his wife Savannah's supposed infidelity, then set the camera aside and waited.
I'm recording this because I want my daughter to know that I love you, Mackenzie Pascal. I'm so sorry that I've done this. I want you to know that you mean everything to me. And William, I love you too. I love you so much. I love you like you're my own. I didn't choose this. Your mom chose this. She's been cheating on me for a long time. I have audio of her talking to other guys. I didn't do nothing wrong to her. When we first got together, I told her, "You're too young for me." There's an 18-year-old difference in her age, and I knew she was kind of too young, but I didn't. She's been playing me for a fool. I told her not to mess with me, not to mess with my emotions. Don't play with me. I got an audio where she was calling a guy yesterday on her way to get her eyelashes done, and she said, "Hey, baby," and he goes, "Hey," and I was like, "That's not my voice. Why is she calling somebody else baby?" Then she started talking about a dream and everything, and she had with them too about sex and everything. I put everything into this relationship. I have done nothing to your mom. I've never hit her. I've never hurt her. I've never called her names. A couple of times when I got really mad, I would say a bad word or something, but I've done everything I can. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm like, why me?
On October 22nd, 2020, Savannah and her mother walked back into the couple's Lamarck, Texas home. Pascal had been hiding in the master bedroom shower with a Glock. He jumped out and shot the 30-year-old twice in the abdomen while her mother fled. He sped off, was cornered hours later in Harris County, refused to drop his gun, and took a deputy's round through the abdomen before surrendering. Doctors patched him up, and the judge still granted bond, so long as he wore a GPS ankle monitor. 6 months later, on April 13, 2021, He left the tracker charging at his mother's house, pulled a knife on a Houston car salesman during a test drive, and vanished in the stolen car. US Marshals spend the next 9 months tracking dead ends. US Marshals spend the next 9 months tracking dead leads. The murder case in Galveston County sat on hold. On New Year's Eve 2021, a tip placed him in an RV at Holiday Travel Park near Ocala, Florida. Deputies tapped on the door and a single shot sounded inside. They waited, breached, and found him beside 2 pistols. He never faced trial, but the confession video still surfaces in search results, a final monologue recorded minutes before he robbed his children of their mother. Dylan Thomas Poutney called his channel Juniper Crossing. Across 30-odd uploads, he sat in front of the camera chain smoking. The videos drew almost no traffic, and that's pretty much all there is to say about his channel, since none of it really foreshadowed what he was about to do. On the morning of March 15th, 2021, he left class at Christ the King High School in Leduc, Alberta, then burst back in with a kitchen knife, stabbing 17-year-old Jennifer Winkler 5 times in the neck and shoulder as her classmates froze. She bled out before an air ambulance could reach Edmonton. Hours later, sitting in an interview room, Poutney filmed himself on a cell phone and said, quote, "I murdered somebody in front of a bunch of kids." Prosecutors later told the jury the trigger had been an argument over tarot cards that once belonged to his late mother. A jury found him guilty of second-degree murder in July 2024. On September 5th, the judge handed down a life sentence with no chance of parole for 12 years. Noting that Poutney had planned the attack for days, and that every witness in the room would carry the scene for the rest of their lives. And that's it. He's literally just known for smoking cigarettes and killing someone. A rather odd online resume, really. Daniel Sancho presented himself online as a laid-back Spanish chef on his YouTube channel, Puro Disfrute. Away from the camera, he flew to Thailand's Koh Phangan in late July 2023 to meet 44-year-old Colombian plastic surgeon Edwin Arrieta, a man he had befriended on social media. Prosecutors said an argument in bungalow number 13 ended with Arrieta beaten to death. Sancho then used newly bought knives and garbage bags to cut the body into 17 pieces and scatter the parcels across landfill sites and the Gulf of Thailand. Trash collectors found a pelvis and intestines in a fertilizer sack, and CCTV caught Sancho buying bleach, rubber gloves, and the blaze the night before the killing. Thai police traced the rental scooter in the footage, brought him in, and within hours, he admitted the dismemberment while insisting it was self-defense. On August 2024, the Koh Samui Provincial Court convicted him of premeditated murder, concealment of a corpse, and property destruction, commuting an initial death sentence to life in prison because he had cooperated, and ordering him to pay 4.4 million baht to the victim's family. Now 31, Sancho is serving that term at Bang Kwang. In March 2025, his defense team filed an appeal that, as of this video, is still pending. This is going to be a very short entry as there isn't really much information about Daniel Bartum. In 2011, at age 14, Daniel murdered his mother with a hammer before burning her body. Apparently he'd been inspired to carry out the murder after watching an episode of the British soap opera Coronation Street. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison. He apparently hit her 7 times with the hammer. I'm not sure why he's actually on this iceberg. Just a reminder, I didn't make this iceberg chart, since he only ever uploaded one 23-second long video. But he uploaded a video to YouTube, so I guess he counts.
Hello YouTube, this is Daniel EB1702 here, and it's finally happened. I now have an iMac, and I can now make bigger and better videos.
Yanis Parakakis ran a forgotten channel called Yanis Parakakis 1, which nowadays only has a handful of Qigong videos and has barely 200 subscribers. On the afternoon of July 2nd, 2019, the 27-year-old father of 2 was cruising rural Crete when he spotted Suzanne Eaton, a 59-year-old American molecular biologist who was out for a jog. Prosecutors say that he swerved twice, knocked her unconscious, shoved her into his trunk, and drove to an abandoned Second World War bunker cut into a hillside. Inside the concrete maze, he raped her and left her face down under debris. An autopsy later showed she died of asphyxiation. For 6 days, the island searched while Paraskakis carried on as if nothing had happened. Cavers finally discovered Eaton's body on July 8th, and tire track analysis led detectives to Giannis. Confronted, he described the assault in clinical detail and reenacted his route for investigators. A court sentenced him on October 13, 2020 to life for murder, plus 13 years for rape and 4 months for weapons possession. Just to make things worse, during Giannis' trial, 5 other women took to the stand and accused him of also trying to run them over as well. And apparently the only thing that stopped them from also being his victims was that there were witnesses nearby. If that weren't the case, Giannis' body count would have been considerably higher.
It's just, I wanted to convey just the pure rage and just hatred that I have for this entire era. So, I tried to convey that with each brush stroke. It has to look like a murder victim stabbing.
For more than a decade, Stephen McCullough hid behind the handle VoteSaxon07, making Doctor Who toy reviews and homemade skits for roughly 35,000 subscribers. The channel looked harmless: action figure close-ups, plastic sonic screwdrivers, and quick one-liners delivered in a quirky Northern Irish accent. No one watching suspected how carefully he would later weaponize his own production skills. On the night of December 18, 2022, McCullough's girlfriend, Natalie McNally, 15 weeks pregnant with their child, was stabbed and beaten inside her home in Lurgan. McCullough told detectives he spent the entire evening live-streaming a 6-hour Grand Theft Auto session titled Violent Night Christmas Live Gaming Stream, and even pointed them to the footage on YouTube. Police saw what the audience saw. It took cybercrime analysts to show that the quote live gameplay had been recorded days earlier, then scheduled to roll automatically while McCullough was off camera. He had muted the chat, blamed technical gremlins, and scattered cryptic lines through the video, at one point muttering, "Abso Natalie."
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Abso Natalie. Abso Natalie.
Under questioning, he finally admitted the stream was a hoax. Prosecutors say the murder was triggered by McCullough reading private WhatsApp exchanges between Natalie and an ex-boyfriend. CCTV tracks him from his Lisburn flat to Lurgan and back. A taxi driver places him near Silverwood Green. The victim's phone was unlocked 9 times in the hours before she died. In September 2024, a Belfast judge called McCullough, quote, a master of media manipulation, and refused bail. His trial began on May 6th, and as of this video, is still underway. Ash Armand's channel presented itself as a laid-back self-help corner of YouTube, with vlogs about sensual energy and breathwork, enough to pull in roughly 68,000 subscribers who called him, quote, the Zen Gigolo. Off-camera, he was Akshaya Kubiak, a former male escort from Showtime's Gigolos, whose public persona, which included shirtless poses and talk of healing crystals, fell worlds away from what happened inside his Las Vegas home on the morning of July 16, 2020. Paramedics answering his 911 call found 29-year-old fitness trainer Harleen Dulai on the bedroom floor, face battered, throat bruised, and candle wax hardened in her hair. She had been beaten and strangled. A chipped tooth fragment also turned up in her stomach. Kubiak told officers he and Dulai had taken psychedelic mushrooms, prayed, then watched Avatar. He claimed he, quote, lost his mind, blacked out, and came to with Dulai unresponsive. Investigators noted there was little blood on him, and despite the violence, no obvious defensive injuries, but the room showed splatter and a bloody footprint no one could match. He phoned a former castmate before dialing 911. When police arrived, he said, quote, when they get here, I'll surrender. Dulai was already dead. The coroner ruled homicide by blunt force trauma and strangulation as a contributing factor. In 2021, he pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and mayhem, a deal sparing Dulai's family a full trial, and drew an 8 to 20 year sentence in Nevada's high desert prison system. with parole possible in 2028. Paramount Plus and Discovery Plus have since unpacked the killing in Sin City Gigolo and Deadly Influence, replaying police body cam clips where Kubiak mutters about the struggle while the camera lingers on blood-spattered carpets. His channel is still up to this day, but the comments have all been disabled. Angelicio Betts was the screen name of Jose Angel Ramos Betts, who operated a tiny Spanish-language channel opened in 2016 out of Torreon, Mexico. Only 3 clips ever went up: a Fortnite note block cover of Blue Dabadi, a quick vlog, and a joke sketch titled La Perra Asesina, though the latter has been removed. Yet classmates later said that the boy talked about, quote, doing something big, and kept quoting Columbine posts in private chats. On the morning of January 10th, 2020, he walked into Colegio Cervantes with 2 handguns taken from his grandfather's closet, asked for a bathroom break, then re-emerged in black suspenders and a white t-shirt stamped Natural Selection, the same slogan Eric Harris wore in 1999. He whispered, Hoy va a ser el dia, which translates to Today is going to be the day, and opened fire, killing English teacher Maria Asaf Medina, wounding 6 others, and finally turning on himself. The entire burst lasted about 3 minutes. Investigators digging through the family's phones found messages showing the grandfather knew the child had weapons. His bank accounts were already flagged for multi-million-dollar transfers linked to drug trafficking, and the boy's father had just left a US prison term for meth smuggling. Just to remind you all, this was an 11-year-old boy who did this. The fact that someone so young could be capable of doing something like this is just truly disturbing. Triple Jointed TV was a fairly unremarkable channel. It just consisted of videos posted by a Cleveland Cavaliers fan that showed him bowling, fishing with his nephew, and celebrating the Cavaliers' 2016 NBA championship. The man behind the channel was Stephen William Stevens, a child behavior vocational specialist who, as stated before, lived in Cleveland, Ohio. Certainly not the type of man who you'd expect to commit any kind of heinous crime, yet that's exactly what happened. On Easter Sunday 2017, Stevens found 74-year-old Robert Godwin Sr. walking home from lunch and forced him to repeat the name of Stevens' ex-girlfriend, Joy Lane. He said, quote, "She's why this is about to happen to you," then fired once and posted the clip to Facebook. Minutes later, he uploaded another phone video bragging about, quote, "Easter Day slaughter," and claiming 13 bodies, a figure police never verified. The footage stayed online for nearly 2 hours, while a 5-state dragnet formed around a man now tagged by press as the Facebook killer. 2 days on the run ended at a McDonald's in Erie, Pennsylvania. Drive-thru staff recognized him, shorted his fries to stall for time, and called 911. State troopers boxed in his white Fusion on Buffalo Road. As they closed in, he raised the same handgun and took. Stevens' channel is still up, with all the videos still viewable and the comments still enabled. It's so crazy to think that a man who posted harmless videos of him bowling and going fishing with his young nephew could possibly be capable of committing such a heinous act on a completely innocent man who he didn't even know. "19-year-old Nathan Gann had a YouTube channel where he posted awkward vlog clips from his dorm room. Viewers saw a self-described computer geek. Off camera, he was arranging a killing with his younger sister, Bree Hansen. Just after noon on July 19, 2007, Gann crept into the family's San Diego split-level house, dressed head to toe in black. Hansen lured their stepfather, criminal defense lawyer Timothy McNeil, downstairs. Zip ties went around McNeil's wrists, then Hansen's, to sell the illusion of a robbery that never was. When McNeil broke loose, he recognized the eyes behind the mask and begged, quote, "Why are you doing this, Nathan?" Gann opened fire, 4 rounds from their late mother's .357 revolver, the last shattering the back of McNeil's skull. He peeled off the Goodwill bought clothes, dumped the gun, and drove 8 hours back to Arizona while Hansen staged a frantic 911 call. Detectives spotted the seams in her story within hours. A relative reported that Hansen had slipped up and called the masked gunman Nathan. By dawn the next day, Gann was in cuffs, with soil still stuck to his boots. 2 juries convicted the siblings of first-degree murder in 2009. Hansen received life without parole. Gann drew 25 to life and filed appeals that went nowhere. Considering this took place in 2007, Nathan is in fact one of the very first YouTube killers, though he's often forgotten compared to the high-profile cases that came after him. Caleb Sharp uploaded under the name Mongo Walker, filling a small subscriber channel with backyard shootouts that blurred airsoft props and real AR-15. Classmates joked about the videos, until the morning of September 13th, 2017, when he rode the bus to Freeman High outside Spokane with that rifle and a Colt 1903 hidden in a duffel bag. The AR-15 jammed as he tried to chamber a round. While he fumbled, 15-year-old Sam Strahan stepped in. Sharp drew the pistol, shot Strahan in the stomach, then finished him with a round to the face before firing down the hallway and hitting 3 freshman girls. A custodian cornered him. Sharp set the gun on the floor and surrendered without another word. Detectives later pulled a manifesto from his bedroom and found the channel's clips. Sharp in combat gear, joking about second rounds, bragging he'd teach the bullies what happens when they push too far. YouTube scrubbed the account within hours, but footage from it has been re-uploaded several times. Sharp pleaded guilty in 2022 and was first given 40 years to life, but an appeals court ruled the term exceeded Washington's cap for crimes committed before age 16. In September 2024, he was resentenced to 25 years to life, meaning his first shot of parole won't come until the early 2040s. Semi Lee Williams roams South Florida with a weather-beaten Android and a YouTube channel called Semi17. His uploads were shaky phone cam monologues. One shot aboard a tri-rail carriage where he swore police had planted, quote, implants in his eyes, and said cyclists shadowed him wherever he went. Basically, he was a crazy homeless guy. And his channel apparently had over 1,000 videos. On the evening of November 15th, 2021, 14-year-old Ryan Rogers pedaled along Central Boulevard in Palm Beach Gardens. Detectives later traced Williams to the same stretch of road. Rogers was found the next morning under the I-95 overpass with multiple stab wounds to his head and face. Miami officers arrested Williams 2 weeks later. Inside his backpack, they discovered a bandana soaked with the boy's blood, and DNA from headphones dropped at the scene tied him even tighter to the killing. A follow-up video he posted hours after the attack complained that people rode past him on bikes and claimed he had been assaulted the night before. Charged with first-degree murder, Williams was bounced between competent evaluations until doctors declared him fit for court. In December 2024, a judge ruled the state cannot seek the death penalty because tests confirmed an intellectual disability. His repeatedly delayed trial is now scheduled for sometime in 2025. As of now, he remains in Palm Beach County's main detention center, and his channel is gone. And as I said, there was apparently over 1,000 videos on there before YouTube terminated it. "19-year-old Alvaro Rafael Castillo lived online in a haze of Columbine worship, uploading home shot videos, one titled Resurrection Parachute, where he saluted Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, and spoke straight into the lens about wanting, quote, the world to see inside a depressed mind. At dawn, on August 30th, 2006, he put that plan in motion. Castillo shot his father 7 times in their Hillsborough, North Carolina living room, filmed the body, then mailed the tape and letter to a local paper. Hours later, he dashed off an email to Columbine's principal, saying, "In a few hours, you will probably hear about a school shooting in North Carolina. I am responsible for it." He loaded pipe bombs, a sawed-off Mossberg, and a high-point carbine into the family van and drove to his former campus. Wearing a t-shirt that read, "Remember Columbine," he lit a cherry bomb in the parking lot and fired 8 shots before the carbine jammed. 2 students were hit. A deputy and a retired trooper tackled him while he shouted, "Columbine, remember Columbine." Inside the van, deputies found more explosives and notebooks cataloging mass shootings. Castillo pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but in 2009, a jury convicted him on 10 counts including first-degree murder and weapons of mass destruction charges. He received life without parole and remains in North Carolina's prison system, with his tape manifesto now evidence instead of content. And Alvaro Castillo is actually very significant in YouTube's history, as he was in fact the first YouTuber that we know of to become a murderer. Austin Howroff called himself A. Frost on a small YouTube channel where most uploads were monologues and rough rap tracks recorded in 2016. The clip showed a lean, excitable 19-year-old rattling off workout tips and talking about inner strength, but friends later said his behavior had turned erratic in the weeks before the event which made him infamous. Late on August 15, 2016, after storming out of a family dinner in Tequesta, Florida, Howroff wandered into the garage of John Stevens III and Michelle Michonne Stevens. Armed only with a pocket knife, he stabbed the couple dozens of times, wounded their neighbor Jeff Fisher when Fisher tried to intervene, then crouched over John Stevens and tore at the dying man's face with his teeth. Deputies wrestled with him for several minutes, using a taser and a police dog before finally pulling him off. Toxicology later showed no designer drugs. Psychologists concluded he had suffered an acute psychotic break. He was charged with 2 counts of murder. The case ground on for 6 years. On November 28, 2022, Circuit Judge Shorewood Bauer accepted an agreed finding of not guilty by reason of insanity and ordered Howroff to a secure state mental facility instead of prison. On January 31, 2023, sheriff's officials confirmed he'd been transferred from the Martin County Jail to Florida State Hospital for long-term civil commitment. He remains there with no clear timeline for release. Any change would require both doctors and a judge to certify that he is no longer dangerous.
Oh, how you doing, everyone? It's Mr. Anime, or you can call me Trey. You can call me the guy that does the video game reviews, or you can call me the guy that does all the gun stuff now. What I have here today to show you is a High Point. Now, for those of you that are familiar with High Point, you might have a very low opinion of them, or you might have a high opinion of them. I think they're pretty decent, especially for the price. I have here a very classic 995. It shoots 9mm rounds. 10-round magazine comes standard with it, and you can also buy an optional 15-round magazine. But you know, I like really big clips, so I wish it came with like a 50.
Trey Eric Sessler spent 6 years carving out a niche on his YouTube channel, LensCap Productions, as Mr. Anime, pushing out anime reviews, low-budget action shorts, and gun-heavy skits filmed around his parents' house in Waller, Texas. Late in December 2011, he uploaded a jarring 60-second clip called Mr. Anime is Planning Something.
Well, hi everybody, it's Mr. Anime here, and I'm recording on my MacBook's web camera, and my MacBook's from like 4 years ago, so the web camera's not that great, so you'll have to bear with me. This is just an update video to let you guys know that I'm going to reward myself with probably a 2 or 3 week break coming up here from YouTube videos, anime reviews in particular. I might do some blog stuff. I want to thank you guys a lot for sticking with me and watching the channel. I got more subscribers than ever. I have more views than ever, and everything is going really good. So I'll probably be putting out some blog videos, like I said, and I hope you enjoy those blog videos. I hope you definitely enjoy those. And the Google AdSense thing has been going great, and I really appreciate you guys clicking on my page. Well, I won't say it, but you guys know what to do. And I'll see you with some blog videos. Thanks for watching my channel.
The video never named the project, but his friends later told police they had started to worry about how often Trey's on-camera jokes about mass shootings blurred into real conversations about outdoing Columbine. Just after midnight on March 20th, 2012, he put that private obsession into motion. First, he lured his mother, Rhonda, into the garage and shot her 4 times with a shotgun. Moments later, he walked inside and turned the gun on his brother Mark and his father Lawton. Investigators found the home trashed, appliances shredded by bullets, fish tanks smashed, and even the family pets had been killed, while spray-painted messages covered the walls. One said, "I love my mom, dad and brother," and in another room it said, "God forgive me because I can't forgive myself." Inside Trey's bedroom, officers recovered notebooks, grading famous killers, aerial photos of Waller High School, and a gear list for a finale involving body armor and an assault rifle. Police later said he had already driven to the school's parking lot, sat in the car with 100 rounds, and lost his nerve. The material convinced detectives he had intended to stage a much larger massacre after erasing the quote, loose ends at home. By sundown that day, deputies, tipped off by relatives who couldn't reach the family, had found the bodies. A statewide alert went out. Officers caught Sessler without a struggle outside a friend's house in nearby Magnolia around 9:30 p.m. He'd already confessed what he'd done to that friend and chose to hand himself in. In interviews, he admitted to the killings and said he wanted to spare the family the shame of the headlines he'd planned next. Facing an airtight capital murder case, the 23-year-old Trey took a deal in August 2012. 3 life terms with no possibility of parole instead of a death penalty trial. Today, he sits in the Terrell unit south of Houston while his channel has been taken down, and his videos only survive as a few re-uploads on YouTube, though his entire catalogue can be found on archive.org. While he is known for being one of YouTube's first anime reviewers, he's far more notorious for being one of YouTube's most infamous killers. William Edward Atkinson slipped through the internet under dozens of handles, but the one most people remember is Vance Stone, a small subscriber YouTube channel where he uploaded crudely animated recreations of real massacres, half-ironic shooter tributes, and restless shitposts recording in his bedroom in Aztec, New Mexico. Away from YouTube, he buried himself in fringe forums, Daily Stormer threads, 4chan, Encyclopedia Dramatica, even Steam page reviews, churning out racial slurs, Columbine memes, and usernames like Future Mass Shooter. The FBI actually knocked on his door in March 2016 after he asked an online gaming board where to find a, quote, cheap assault rifle for a school attack. Agents left once he convinced them he was only trolling and, crucially, owned no weapons. By the end of 2017, that changed. On November 5th, he paid cash for a Glock 19 and spent the next month scripting an assault on his old campus. At 8 a.m. on December 7th, he blended into the stream of students entering Aztec High, ducked into an upstairs restroom, loaded his pistol and a pocket full of magazines, then stepped back into the hallway. He shot 17-year-old Francisco Fernandez inside the bathroom and 16-year-old Casey Marquez just outside before firing at walls and classroom doors as teachers barricaded their rooms. When the hall went silent, he pointed the gun at himself. Taped to his body was a thumb drive manifesto that began, quote, "If things go according to plan, today would be when I die. I go somewhere and gear up, then hold a class hostage and go ape," alongside events about work, school, and, quote, "this shit state." Detectives later dug through his PC and found grading charts for famous gunmen and even chat logs with a Munich shooter, David Somboli, plus months of YouTube comments in which he joked that mass murder was the fastest route to notoriety. All of Atchinson's channels vanished within hours of the press conference, but mirrors still exist on archive.org, pixelated simulations, and a young man rehearsing violence in plain sight right up until the morning he acted it out. Vladislav Rosolyakov opened his YouTube account Big Slims when he was 14. The only clip he ever uploaded was a jittery Minecraft match. He stumbled over the menu, grumbled about his mouse, joked he might suffocate in water, and signed off in embarrassment. By the time he turned 18, Rosolyakov had grown inward and fascinated by guns. In September 2018, he paid for a hunting course certificate, secured a license, and bought a 12-gauge shotgun along with 150 shells. Cash he apparently saved from odd jobs around Kerch. 2 weeks later, he fashioned a nail bomb in his bedroom and mapped a route through his college's main building. Just before noon on October 17, 2018, he walked into Kerch Polytechnic in a white t-shirt, black gloves, and combat boots, left the bomb in the cafeteria, and started upstairs. The blast tore through the lunch line. Moments later, he opened fire in the halls, shooting monitors, door locks, and anyone who tried to flee. CCTV later showed him pausing on a staircase to reload. with chilling calm. When the echo died about 15 minutes later, 20 people lay dead, and more than 60 were wounded. Rostilyakov shot himself in the library. Investigators recovered a second undetonated device, receipts for ammunition, and online searches for Columbine. His hard drive held sketches of the school and chat logs where he weighed different body armor brands. The Big Slim's channel is still up to this day, with that same single video still being viewable, and absolutely no sign that the 14-year-old boy who posted it would one day go on to commit one of the worst school shootings in history. Scott Paul Bierley spent evenings recording rant videos on his webcam, uploading them under the name Scott Carnifex. The videos were bare-bones rants. He sneered that women who dated black men were whores, and mused that promiscuous women deserved crucifixion. YouTube eventually pulled all of his videos, but mirrors still circulate, with his monotone voice cutting against the bile in his words. Offline, Bierley's contempt kept leaking into real life. Florida State University police arrested him in 2012 after 2 students said he grabbed their backsides in a dining hall. A similar incident happened in 2016 at a poolside, and the campus banned him outright. The pattern followed him into the classroom. While working as a substitute teacher in Volusia County, he was fired in May 2018 for touching a teenage girl near her chest, then blacklisted from substitute teaching altogether. That summer, he bought a 9mm Glock and spent the next 3 months mapping a target he had Googled dozens of times. Hot Yoga, Tallahassee. At 5:37 p.m. on November 2nd, 2018, he walked into the studio, closed the glass door behind him, and opened fire. 21-year-old Maura Binkley and 61-year-old Dr. Nancy Van Vessem were killed. 5 others were hit or pistol-whipped before the gun jammed long enough for students to swing a vacuum and broom at him. Bierley then turned the gun on himself. Detectives later outlined a timeline showing months of searches for yoga paired with violent fantasies, journal entries about retribution, and a purchase receipt for the handgun dated July 23, 2018. They also confirmed an earlier tip to the FBI that never turned into a case file. With Bierley dead, prosecutors had no one to charge. What's left of his time online now is a handful of screen-captured tirades, a lonely man rehearsing violence for years, then carrying the script onto a studio floor crowded with innocent women. Everton Brown spent over a decade uploading to the channel Federalistify, which never even broke 250 subscribers, but they show that he was a very paranoid man, as he would pace around store aisles or on his front lawn, ranting that federal agents and big box employees were stalking him. The oldest video dates back to 2009, and every one circles the same theme, that theme being that he felt he was being victimized by the system. Neighbors in Woodlawn, Maryland heard those accusations long before they ever saw the channel. Brown used a bullhorn on his porch, taped handwritten signs to his windows saying, "FBI, stop breaking into my house," and phoned police more than 100 times, claiming drones were hovering above him. Officers chalked it up to paranoia. Residents just kept their distance. At 6:40 a.m. on May 8, 2021, a dull boom jolted Maury Road awake. Brown had set his townhouse ablaze. He sprinted next door and shot married couple 37-year-old Sarah Alacote and 41-year-old Ishmael Quintanilla, then gunned down 24-year-old Sagar Gimaya as he stepped outside. Another neighbor was hit but survived. Flames curled from the roof while Brown fired at anyone who moved, until responding officers dropped him in a short, frantic exchange caught on their body cams. Detectives recovered a cache of homemade explosives in his SUV and scrolled through years of videos in which he swore the FBI poisoned his food and chipped his car. His videos drew attention soon after. Low-resolution tirades spliced next to body cam clips of the same man lying mortally wounded beside the smoking ruins of his own house. The contrast is unsettling. An obscure creator convinced the world was hunting him, and in the end, he made that delusion real for 3 unsuspecting neighbors who never even knew his channel existed. George Sidini's channel is still sitting on YouTube under the handle MOSB46PGH, and it holds exactly 2 videos. The first, How George Pittsburgh Lives, uploaded on February 29, 2008, shows him wandering through his house, pointing out the size of it, the DVD collection, and a bedroom he hopes will impress a, quote, nice young girl. 4 months later, On June 23, 2008, he posted "Hide from Emotion." In that one, he stands in his basement and admits he has no idea how to connect with anyone.
It is easy for me to hide from my emotions for one more day. Take a long drive in the car, listen to some music, daydream, or just do some mundane task around the house that really doesn't need to be done, that's not too important. And there you go, one more day, and one more day turns into one more year. Now, RDS says that I have approximately maybe 15 more years to be successful at this. And when I heard that, I wanted to continue immediately to start moving on this. I didn't realize I had that much time. So what my objective is to be real and to learn to be emotional and to be able to emotionally connect with people. Because when I'm 10 to 20 years older than she is, she has to feel good about this thing. And the only way around that, is to work on this, and perhaps STEM exercises or forgiveness exercises as per Hay or whatever else. I'm going to post this and see what comes back.
Both videos are short, shot on a cheap camcorder, and they're still a click away for anyone who searches the channel name. Off camera, he was keeping a web diary, 4,600 words that tracked 9 months of sexual frustration and a plan he called his, quote, exit. The entries count each year since he last had a girlfriend, list 2 Glock 9mm and a .45 revolver he bought online, and circle early August on the calendar with the note, total effort needed. At 8:15 p.m. on August 4, 2009, Sudini walked into the women's Latin dance class at the LA Fitness in Collier Township, Pennsylvania. He flicked the light switch, pulled the Glocks from a duffel bag, and fired 52 rounds in the dark. Heidi Overmeyer, Elizabeth Gannon, and Jodie Billingsley were killed. 9 other women were wounded. He ended it with a single shot from the .45. Detectives later found that he had made 2 dry runs to the club earlier that day, test fired 500 rounds in the week before, and scheduled a post to publish on his site after the attack that read simply, "Death Lives." The blog was scrubbed within hours, but the 2 YouTube videos remain online. Matti Juhani Sari went by Wumpscut86 on YouTube, a nod to the industrial band whose lyrics, "Whole life is war and whole life is pain," he copied onto his YouTube profile next to 2 home shot videos. Both clips show the 22-year-old hospitality student in black leather emptying a Walther P22 at the local range. One, posted 5 days before he carried out his plan, ends with him pointing the pistol at the lens and saying in English, "You will die next."
You will die next.
The footage triggered an anonymous tip, and on Monday, September 22, 2008, Finnish police hauled Sari in, watched the gun range video, verified the temporary permit he'd received in August, and, because he'd made no explicit threat, let him walk out with the weapon still holstered. He had already drafted a note at home that read, quote, "I have always wanted to murder as many people as possible," and sketched the sequence in place for nearly 6 years. At 10:40 the next morning, he stepped into an exam room at Kawajoki School of Hospitality, firing methodically at classmates before moving through adjoining corridors, tossing petrol bombs, and igniting desks as slow rescuers. Witnesses said he reloaded in silence, shooting toward anyone who moved. By the time smoke pushed through the broken windows, he had killed 9 students, 8 women, and 1 man, and a male staff member, wounding 11 more. Investigators later counted nearly 200 rounds on scene. Sari turned on himself moments before police reached the 2nd floor. He was pronounced dead in the hospital that afternoon. Back at his apartment, officers found handwritten hate notes and the clothes from his videos laid out on the bed, as if he'd been staging a final cut that merged screen persona with real violence.
Goodbye.
Jared Lee Loughner created Class It Up 10 in October 2010, where he dropped 5 text-only videos. All of them were simply text on different coloured screens, spiraling through grammar conspiracies, homemade monetary systems, and various other crazy things that end with Loughner declaring himself as, quote, the mind controller. In the last 2 uploads, posted on the 14th and 15th of December 2010, He warns that anyone who calls him a terrorist is committing, quote, ad hominem, and insists that the US government enslaved citizens through language. Politico later confirmed investigators were poring over the same batch of videos, describing them as, quote, apocalyptic. Lofner also had a side account, Starhichnaz, and on November 22nd, he placed a single 7-minute video there, America, Your Last Memory in a Terrorist Country. A hooded masked figure, Lofner himself, burns an American flag in the desert, while drowning pools bodies plays over it. The Washington Post noted the imagery and the video's ominous title hours after what came next. Offline, trouble escalated just as the channels went live. Pima County College suspended Lofner on October 4, 2010 after a string of classroom outbursts. Rather than see the required mental health clearance, he withdrew. 2 weeks later, he bought a Glock 19 and a 33-round magazine from Sportsman's Warehouse. At 10 a.m. on January 8, 2011, he walked into Representative Gabrielle Gifford's Congress on Your Corner event outside a Tucson Safeway and emptied 31 rounds before bystanders tackled him while he reloaded. 6 people died, among them federal judge John Roll and 9-year-old Christina Taylor Greene, and 13, including Giffords, were wounded. Lofner pleaded guilty to 19 federal counts in 2012 and is serving life at the Federal Medical Center in Rochester. The digital trail he left is still only a search away. There's 5 static videos under Class It Up, and of course his infamous flag-burning performance on Starhichnaz. Pekka Erik Alvanen uploaded to YouTube under the handles Natural Selector 89 and Stormgeist 89, posting montages of trench-coated gunmen, war footage, and grainy selfies where he posed in his bedroom with a .22 caliber handgun. The clips were stitched together with industrial rock, namely KMFDM's Stray Bullet, thumping over captions about, quote, natural selection and, quote, total war against humanity. One file package he left online ran longer than the videos, a manifesto that split people into critical thinkers and the weak, and placed himself in the role of the executioner. On the morning of November 7, 2007, he walked into Chocala High School wearing black, a pistol hidden under his coat. He'd posted one last video, Chocala High School Massacre, 11/7/2007, timestamped just before the first shot. At 11:42 a.m., he opened fire in a corridor, then crossed classrooms as if following stage directions he'd rehearsed online. Students mistook the first cracks for a prank until glass exploded around them. By the time the alarms echoed through the concrete halls, 8 people were dead, 5 classmates, the school nurse, the principal, and another staff member, and 13 more were injured by bullets or flying debris. He tried to ignite gasoline he'd splashed along a stairwell, then turned on himself. Paramedics found him alive, but he died in the hospital that evening. Police later counted 75 spent casings and 300 live rounds he never used. His bedroom computer held drafts of the manifesto, links to Columbine fan forums, and playlists of previous school shootings played at half speed. The Natural Selector 89 channel was already gone by that point, and YouTube terminated the Stormgeist 89 channel within hours, but various re-uploads have appeared on the internet since then. Interestingly, Pekka had apparently been in contact with the Amazing Atheist before then, mostly about their conflicting views on, quote, social Darwinism. After the shooting, the Amazing Atheist posted a video in which he stated that he had warned people about Pekka, but that no one had listened.
The YouTube user, formerly known as Natural Selector 89, and also as Sturmgeist 89, decided to go on a little killing spree down in Finland and shoot up his classmates a little bit. Now, I warned you guys that these social Darwinist kids who idolized Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were dangerous, and I got the videos right there to prove it. I warned you. I went specifically head-to-head with this very kid who committed this act. I made videos directed exactly at him. My video, Natural Selector, is a subpar human, directed right at the man or the boy who would eventually, on this very day, become another mass murderer in the tradition of the people that you have allowed him to. Right before he went on his shooting rampage, he sent me an IM that said, I apologize for all the past hostilities between us. And I thought to myself at the time, well, that's very nice. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why you're suddenly apologizing to me, but thank you. And, I guess he was apologizing because he knew he was going to be dead. And also, I could kind of already see people blaming me to some extent, which is, utterly ridiculous, trying to say that because I was mean to him, it forced him to this act. This guy was always talking about this shit, and I think really after his girlfriend left him, after that I think he lost it, and he just decided he was gonna live out his little testosterone fantasy. The really sad thing is that he felt bad for even arguing with me. I mean, he felt bad about our arguments. So that shows you that he can look back upon his actions with regret. And we shouldn't turn him into a monster, and we shouldn't turn him into a hero. We need to think of him as exactly what he was, a pathetic fucking teenager who didn't know that what he was doing was wrong, who had no idea about right or wrong at the time, who was just too fucked up to understand the consequences of his actions in any real way.
Adam Lanza moved through YouTube under two names. The older handle, Fuck Comments, dated back to December 2009 and was mostly silent outside viewers, but in the comment sections, he sprayed threats and other disturbing comments. He purged them in 2012, but screenshots recorded the tone: curt, violent threats aimed at strangers who would have no idea who sat behind the keyboard. In 2011, he created Cultural Philistine, a channel that never used a camera. 31 uploads are just a black frame with his voice, dissecting antinatalism, suicide, and an 8-part essay on pedophilia. The monologues drift for 10, sometimes 20 minutes, with his microphone clipping as he shifts in his chair. Every few sentences, he breaks into laughter that sounds forced, like testing whether his emotions still work. In one piece titled Done with YouTube, he hints at ending, quote, all interactions with culture, a line that reappears almost word for word in later police transcripts. The videos end on January 12, 2012. 11 months later, on the morning of December 14th, he shot his mother in her bed, drove her car to Sandy Hook Elementary, and emptied a Bushmaster XM15 and a Glock 20 into first grade classrooms and staff hallways, killing 20 children and 6 adults, before turning on himself. For years, the channel stayed buried in the algorithm, with no thumbnails and just strings of numbers that meant nothing unless you were looking. In September 2021, Reddit users stumbled across Cultural Philistine, captured every file, and within days, YouTube terminated the account. The vast majority of you watching this probably didn't even know that Jared Miller actually had a YouTube channel, but going through his videos, you can tell that this man clearly wasn't all there.
Hey everybody out there on YouTube, thanks for watching my video. I have an issue I need to talk about here. Picked up this magazine, well my wife picked up this magazine because I'm on house arrest for selling marijuana. I know I'm such a big evil person, right? Check this out. This is quite disturbing. This is drones. Are they watching you? This is a whole magazine on drones. Whole magazine about it. No ads. All about drones. So are they watching you? Probably. I mean, they're already wiretapping your phones, watching your Facebook and everything. And they're probably watching this video of me right now. I don't care. Congrats. You're somebody special. You have clearance to watch and spy on the American people. Yes, you have to pay for the privilege to be a prisoner in your own home. They give you one of these, a little black box. You gotta pay like $100 for. Plug it into the wall there. Run the phone line to your phone. And then they give you one of these fashionable little ankle bracelets. Pretty uncomfortable thing right here. You can see it's made an indent on my foot. Nice little mark there. And all this in my own home. I gotta pay $9 a day for it. Okay? And they told me that every week they have 400 people that check in. If you do the math, $9 a day, it's about $70 a week. Comes to about $28,000 a week in revenue they're bringing in from people on house arrest. You do even further math, that's over 100 grand a month. And that's just the minimum is $9 a day. There's people out there on GPS units. They're paying $14 a day. There's people out there paying $18 a day. They're making all this money. Half the people, I guarantee you, over half the people on house arrest are there for drugs. And then, here's my front window here. You can look out my front window. And you look a little closer. There you go, right in the middle of that frame. That is the courthouse. It's a beautiful building, even though it is a monument to authoritarianism. It's just a big concrete building, big thing, a building that people have to go to, or else they go to jail. You gotta go get your marriage license. You gotta go get gun permits. Whatever it is, you have to go down to that big stone structure, monument to tyranny, and submit, crawling and groveling on your hands and knees. Oh, give me permission to do this. Give me permission to do that. I don't know. Sounds a little like Nazi Germany to me, or maybe communist Russia. Where are your papers? Do you have the authority to be here? Do you have the right to be here? Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Who's in your car with you? Can I search your car? Can I stick my finger up your butt? No? Oh, that's probable cause. You probably got drugs up there. Because that's what they're doing now. They're, just sticking fingers up people's butts. Looking for drugs. Big, scary drugs. Really, people? It's time to wake up. This is getting ridiculous.
In another video, he's sitting shirtless in his living room, crying while talking to his wife about coming to visit him while he's in prison.
I just want you to know I love you so much, and I hope that you will come visit me in jail. I'll still put you on the visitors list. I hope you can get over your thing. Come visit me on Sunday. It would mean the world to me. I don't think my family will, and I know your family's not going to. I just wish they could understand and see the things that we see what's going on. I wish we didn't have to go do this stuff. I wish the world was perfect and we could just, live happily without all this crap. But that's not the way it is. We're just gonna tough it out, We love each other and that's all that matters. And, before you know it, I'll be back out and I'll be back in your arms. I'm just gonna miss you so much, baby. I love you with all my heart. Every night I'm gonna lay there and I'm gonna pretend you're laying next to me. And I pray to God that this Sunday is not the last time I ever see you again. I swear to God, they better not fucking do this shit while I'm in jail. I'm pretty sure they won't. I'm pretty sure it's not happening that fast, but I have confidence I'll see you again, baby. And if I don't, remember, I'll always love you no where I'm at. I love you so much, baby. dreading these last few days. I'm dreading the hour. I'm gonna try to just enjoy them with you as much as I can. I'm gonna try my hardest. I love you so much. All them other girls I thought I was in love with, that was bullshit. I wasn't really in love with them. I didn't know what real love was until I met you. You're the only girl I've ever wanted to be with ever again. I love you so much, baby. I decided not to get my hair cut today so I could make this video with my hair before I have you cut it off later. I didn't want Jake to do it. I want you to do it. I love you. And I hope this video doesn't make you cry. I hope it makes you, brings a smile to your face. Bye, baby.
Other than that, the rest of his videos are just about his cats. While his videos show that he's definitely weird, they still don't really foreshadow what he'd eventually do. On June 8, 2014, Jared Miller and his wife Amanda walked into a CC's Pizza on the east side of Las Vegas, approached officers Igor Soldo and Alan Beck, and opened fire at point-blank range. They draped a yellow "Don't Tread on Me" flag and swastika over one body and pinned a handwritten note that read, "This is the beginning of the revolution." After stealing the officers' sidearms, they crossed the parking lot to a Walmart, where they killed shopper Joseph Wilcox during a brief standoff. Minutes later, police bullets hit Jared. Amanda shot him again, then turned the gun on herself. Detectives combing the couple's apartment found outlines for courthouse takeovers and more than a dozen unsent videos. Viewed in sequence, the clips felt less like propaganda than a swift decline, paranoia hardening into certainty, certainty into a plan, and finally, the plan into 3 dead strangers, dead in a summer afternoon in Nevada. Jake Davison called himself Professor Waffle on YouTube, as if the self-deprecation might soften what followed. The handful of vlogs he posted in early 2021 were shot in his bedroom on a static webcam, with monologues that drifted from weightlifting brags to bleak confessions about being, quote, defeated by life.
Don't have any willpower to do anything anymore. You know? I know a lot of people say, oh, that's weak-minded, that's pathetic, but dude, it's like how many years I've been working out, how many years I've been wanting and dealing with all these frustrations. You know, it's like I was doing a session just now. I was thinking, what am I doing this for? Why do I? What the fuck? You know, how long have I been doing this for? Has it changed my life? No. Do I feel any better anymore? No. Do I get any enjoyment from working out anymore? No. Do I get any good feeling after, you know, that natural high anymore? No. Do I look any better? Well, I mean, I guess if that looks better to you, if that looks better to you, you know, when I was 16, 17, 18, I had that passion, you know, and I should have used that passion to get lean, but no, like an idiot, I was thinking, oh, let's lift heavy, you know, I should have thought, right, let's get lean, let's get ripped first, but no, I didn't, and now I can't, I'm so beaten down and defeated by life. That drive that I once had, that's gone now. It's gone, it's literally gone. Like, I don't have the power anymore. I don't have that willpower anymore. I can't sit there and force myself to be like, right, let's do this. You know, we'll work towards, we'll keep going, yes. You know, muscle through it, you know, like, I just can't do that anymore. Call me a bitch, call me weak, call me whatever. I can't do it anymore. I cannot do it. I can't seem to be like, right, it's just like, you know, because I've been there and I've done that. You know, I've done that and it amounted to nothing.
He spewed incel jargon, black pill, chads, an obsession with facial symmetry. Each upload ended with a sigh, a click and silence. Yet the views crawled towards 5 figures, and the comment section filled with users urging him to, quote, keep fighting. In late July, he filmed what became the last entry, still in the same chair, this time wearing a New York Giants shirt, comparing himself to a Terminator that, quote, can't be stopped, but keeps moving anyway. The line wasn't delivered with bravado. It sounded like bad news he'd already accepted.
It's like in the Terminator, right? You know, fate is nothing. You know, the whole premise of the Terminator movies is that, you know, everything's rigged against you. There's no hope for humanity. You know, we're on the brink of extinction. You know, these machines are unstoppable, killing machines that can't be beaten, can't be outsmarted. But yet, humanity still tries to fight to the end. And I know it's a movie, but I like to think sometimes, you know, I'm a Terminator or something. And despite you know, reaching almost total system failure, he keeps trying to accomplish his mission, you know. But anyway, see you guys later.
19 days later, just after 6 p.m, on August 12, 2021, Davison used the pump-action shotgun the police had recently returned to him to shoot his mother Maxine in their Plymouth home. He walked into the street and killed 3-year-old Sophie Martin, her father Lee, dog walker Stephen Washington, and artist Kate Shepard. 2 neighbors survived gunfire through a front door. The whole rampage lasted about 6 minutes before he turned the weapon on himself. Investigators pieced together why a man reported for assault in 2020 had his firearm seized, then handed back 5 weeks later before the killings. An inquest heard of paperwork shortcuts, an overworked licensing unit, and a risk assessment that marked him, quote, low threat. On his computer, they found nearly 1 million files, dozens of them echoing the same fatalism he'd voiced on YouTube. YouTube terminated Professor Waffle within hours of the news breaking.
I've been going through college for 2.5 years now, and in those 2.5 years, I've had to rot in bleak and sad loneliness, while other guys get to enjoy all the pleasures of, you know, sex and socializing and partying. I've never had a taste of that, because no girls give me a chance. No girl at my college has ever expressed any interest in me. I mean, you give a chance to all these stupid, obnoxious guys that I see you walking with, but you don't give a chance to me. Why not? I'm such a magnificent guy. I'm beautiful. You can't deny that. I've traveled all over the world. I have so much to talk about. I'm civilized, intelligent, sophisticated. I have a sense of style. And yet you girls don't see it. And every single day, I have to be insulted by the sight of all these lesser men walking around with beautiful girls. I see so many couples where the guy is just so unworthy of having a beautiful girlfriend like that, and yet they're together. He has her love, and I've never had any of that love and affection from girls. Why do you girls give those guys a chance, but not me? I deserve it more. It's not fair. Every single day I have to be insulted by the sight of guys enjoying girls while I'm all alone.
We had to get to him eventually. It's time to talk about quite possibly the most vain, narcissistic, entitled, and honestly one of the most pathetic YouTubers ever. Elliot Rodger filmed most of his monologues inside a black BMW. His channel carried nearly a dozen entries. He called himself the Supreme Gentleman, complained that women looked past him, and spun long theories about cosmic injustice between bursts of very obviously rehearsed laughter. Friends flagged at least one clip to his mother. She called deputies to check on him a month before the attack, but the officers never watched the videos, found him polite, and left. Minutes before sunset on May 23, 2014, he uploaded one last time. In the 7-minute video titled Elliot Rodger's Retribution, he promised to punish all the girls for a lifetime of rejection.
I will punish all of you for it. On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB. And I will every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde slut I see inside there. All those girls that I've desired so much, they would have all rejected me and looked down upon me as an inferior man if I ever made a sexual advance towards them. While they throw themselves at these obnoxious brutes. I'll take great pleasure in all of you. You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one, the true alpha male. Yes. After I've annihilated every single girl in the sorority house, I'll take to the streets of Isla Vista and see every single person I see there. All those popular kids who live such lives of hedonistic pleasure while I've had to rot in loneliness for all these years. They've all looked down upon me every time I tried to go out and join them. They've all treated me like a mouse. Well, now, I will be a god compared to you. You will all be animals. You are animals, and I will slaughter you like animals. I'll be a god, exacting my retribution on all those who deserve it. And you do deserve it, just for the crime of living a better life than me. All you popular kids, you've never accepted me. And now you'll all pay for it. I hate all of you. I can't wait to give you exactly what you deserve. Utter annihilation.
Then did what he always did and ended with a very smug smile. After he uploaded that video, he changed clothes in his apartment, while stepping past the bodies of his 3 roommates, Wei Hen Wang, Chang Yun Hong, and George Chen, stabbed dozens of times earlier that evening. At 9:17 p.m, his manifesto, My Twisted World, hit 34 inboxes. 2 minutes later, he began driving. He stopped outside the Alpha Phi sorority house, but couldn't force the door, and opened fire on the sidewalk, killing Catherine Cooper and Veronica Weiss. A few blocks away, he walked into the IV Deli Mart, shot Christopher Ross Michaels Martinez, and sped off again, firing from the window from his BMW at pedestrians and cyclists. 13 people were hit by bullets, or the car before police clipped his bumper and Del Playa Drive. Then, of course, Elliot did what all of these shooters do when they're cornered. Counting the 3 stabbings, the toll stood at 6 dead, 13 wounded, and a town echoing with sirens and revving engines. The, quote, supreme gentleman went out being remembered, not as some kind of legend or badass as he obviously wanted to be seen, but really just as a pathetic incel who couldn't get a girlfriend, and has basically just become the butt of jokes since he died.
Because she told me to.
Randy Stair spent a decade trying to build some kind of audience on YouTube. On his first channel, Pioneers Productions, he would upload various unfunny comedy sketches featuring children's toys as characters, and somehow managed to do several videos with Make Me Bad 35, a YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers. Then in 2014, he went insane and created a new persona, Andrew Blaze. He filled his channel with crude animations for Ember's Ghost Squad, a fantasy cult led by Ember McLean from Danny Phantom. In journals, he insisted Ember wanted him to kill and promised the murders would open a portal where his, quote, female soul could live inside the cartoon world he drew on his bedroom walls. And he decided that the place where he would carry out Ember's will would be at his place of work. Just before 1 AM on June 7, 2017, He wheeled pallets against every exit at Weiss Market in Eaton Township, pulled 2 pistol-grip shotguns from a duffel, and walked the aisles he'd stocked for 7 years. He shot night manager Brian Hayes, customer service clerk Victoria Brong, and custodian Terry Lee Sterling. One co-worker slipped past a barricade and sprinted out to the store, while the police made their way there. You can probably guess what Randy did before they had a chance to get there. Basically, they didn't have a chance to bring him to justice. And this is where I stopped the whole narrator thing. I'll be honest with you, most of the entries on this iceberg I've covered before, so for all of those entries, it was my second time talking about them. Randy, on the other hand, is someone I have covered twice before, so this is my third time talking about him. I talked about him all the way back in my first Lost Media video, and all the way back in my first Worst YouTubers video, and after having now covered him 3 times, I'm just going to come out and say it. I can't stand him, aside from being an absolute scumbag for what he did. If you go and watch his videos, he's just annoying. He's just insufferable to watch. When he tried to be funny, he just came across as incredibly obnoxious, and he was just as insufferable when he was being serious in those videos he made while he was planning his attack, because he blamed everyone else for what he was going to do, and reveled in the very idea of it. There's so much more I want to say about him here, but I'd just be rambling on and on for ages if I did. So I'm just going to say that I really hope this is the last time I ever have to talk about him on this channel. I've seen enough of this skinny weirdo in his natural selection shirt and his very obvious comb over masquerading as an emo haircut to last me a lifetime. And that's the end of this very long video, folks. I must say I honestly want to do more iceberg videos, and I found a few charts that have caught my interest. One in particular is based around another topic I've covered on this channel multiple times, so that's probably the one I'm going with next. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and consider supporting on Patreon. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.